Sandra all the time is here with the cold hard truth. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama, call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra. And
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth telling, more problem solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you. All right, folks, tell your mama, tell your papi.
It's a catchy tune.
I know. Absolutely love it. Yeah. Good morning to the beautiful Erin over at 106.1 FM. How you doing, honey chill?
Good. We got about a minute 10 to go, and I was just messaging with Blake. He's in has a quick connection in Charlotte. You know, there's been a lot of tornadoes going through.
Oh man, I was looking at that yesterday. It's pretty wild.
So he'll either be back here tomorrow or he won't.
Or he'll end up like Dorothy. A whole other alternative universe. Oh my gosh.
Wouldn't that be
he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, which one would he be though? Would he be the Tin Man, the Straw Man? No,
the Scarecrow.
I love it.
I don't know. What a hot mess.
Yeah, but it's been bad. A lot of tornadoes. So you know. I don't ever want to be caught in one of those. I mean, hurricanes are scary enough. But, to never know what's coming out of nowhere, and all of a sudden you're just like, Anyway, we're going to go in just a second. I'll be right back.
All right. Sounds good. So good morning to all of our listeners. I'm going to just grab the links. Don't forget, if you message me to be added to the WhatsApp group, send your name because I have to list.
Interesting news.
It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
All right, here we are on this Thursday morning. Good morning, Sandra.
Yes, good morning, honey child. How you doing?
Yes, good. It's nice and sunny outside. Hopefully, I mean it's just getting hotter, so there's that, but it's nice outside.
Yes. I'm beginning to feel it. You know, I was actually at the Kimpton this weekend, and I heard some tourists complaining about the heat. And the lady in the elevator was like, "Oh my God, the humidity! It's not just the heat, honey; it's the humidity." And I just looked at her and smiled.
You don't even know how it's going.
I know. I'm like, lady, it's still cool. It's only May.
Fork out a little bit more money and come in December.
Oh my gosh. Anyway. How you doing? All right, folks, let's get a few news headlines.
What's going on? What's out there, honey chow?
So a couple of very, very interesting cases. 3 individuals have been charged after using what the authorities say are fake prescriptions to get opiates. Oh my gosh, this is pretty wild, actually.
Okay.
We have Erilyn Thompson, age 40 of West Bay, charged with conspiracy to supply a controlled drug, possession of criminal property, forgery, uttering a forged document, and 2 counts of obtaining property by deception. 2 other persons, Anastasia Watson and Jervis Thompson of Bodden Town, have also been charged with several offenses as well. This is very, very interesting. So they all appeared in court on Friday and were granted bail pending a further appearance on May the 28th.
So like they were forging prescriptions from a doctor, or they took
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the details of exactly how they did what's being alleged. Obviously, they remain innocent until proven guilty, but it says that they were trying to receive, they were trying to get Percocet and oxycodone. So That's pretty wild. Have you ever taken Percocet? I took it once and it made me feel so bad.
Yeah, I don't think I
have it on my list of do not give me this drug.
Yeah. I've not broken bones, luckily enough, so I've not really had to take any of that stuff. Yeah, it's not. I think I did once, and I was like, with Vicodin or something. I was like, my skin is itchy.
No, and Percocet gives you, and maybe that's the high that people enjoy, but for me, it wasn't a good feeling at all.
Like well, it absolutely is, and this is why those opioids. Unfortunately, there's a problem with that. I actually had a friend I went to school with. We were casual friends. He, as he got older, I mean, I heard about this later. He went to prison for him and this nurse were doing a thing where they were using the doctor's notepad and getting prescriptions and then selling them on the street. He went to prison for that.
Wow.
He's cleaned up his life since. Just
oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I have it like literally when they say, "Are you allergic to anything?" I say Percocet.
Yeah.
or anything like
You're like, don't give me that.
Yeah. So, all right. In other news, we've got local attorney Keith Myers, who was recently in an article about some sexting allegations with a client. She actually won her appeal after her attorney successfully demonstrated to the Court of Appeal that he had been appropriately communicating with her as her attorney at the time.
Wow. So are they going to retry her with the...
So, no, they have let her go.
Oh.
Yeah, she actually got her sentence overturned.
Wow.
Yep. Pretty wild. So now he was actually on the board as well of the University College of the Cayman Islands, the Board of Governors. And the cabinet has now removed him. They've terminated his appointment after his character came into disrepute recently for sexting this client. So it remains to be seen if he could actually be facing some disciplinary action from the court as well, because he actually had denied in the court proceedings, he had denied the allegations in a sworn affidavit to the court.
There you go. That'll do it.
Yes, that's no bueno.
Yeah.
The police are investigating an armed robbery at a Georgetown restaurant. They say that there's a restaurant in the vicinity of Shedden Road and Dr. Roy's Drive that was robbed shortly after midnight on Sunday, May the 5th. A masked man entered the premise and with what appeared to be a firearm and took personal belongings from two persons present. He then left the location on foot and headed in the direction of Dr. Roy's Drive. So of course, if you have any information about this, please contact the RCIPS.
Right.
AstraZeneca is withdrawing from the COVID-19 vaccine market. They say that they will no longer be, offering their vaccine because one, demand has declined, and two, there is a fairly serious side effect from their particular vaccine. So people got 3 billion doses worldwide is what they distributed. And they said that there's a very long medical complication, but there is a complication that some people have had, and I think maybe 83 people have died as a result of that. And so, the newer mRNA vaccines, which is what we got, according to the experts, they say is just better overall and have higher effectiveness, and they're easily adapted, towards the latest COVID variants as well.
Yeah.
So lots of things going on there. So it was a very interesting development. And big shout out to, in our final story of the day, big shout out to the Beacon Farm, organization who's partnered with both Foster's grocery stores and IWC, to really repurpose and reuse unusable waste. So it's quite interesting. They're launching a new food recycling program where they're going to take food that, they have to it goes through a process, but it's unusable. And then they're going to turn it into mulch and usable product at the end for farmers and stuff like that.
I love Beacon Farms. I think they're just fabulous what they're doing.
Yeah, they really do amazing work. And this could be a game changer for them. So congratulations. They did a pilot program, and now they're actually going to be expanding that in all 3 of the major Foster's stores are going to be participating.
Great. I love it.
Yeah, good stuff.
I actually have something for you because coming up, Discovery Day is around the corner, right?
Yes.
So, we have our Discovery Day Adventure Challenge coming back where a team of 4 could win $5,000 cash. So if you want to sign up, you got to get yourself signed up before it sells out because it usually sells out earlier than. Yeah. So dmsbroadcasting.ky has all the details. But yeah, the Discovery Day Adventure Challenge is a team of 4. And you go around, you have a good time. And the team with the most combined points at the end wins $5,000 cash.
Nice.
Yeah. So there you go. That's with DMS Broadcasting coming up. Yeah, dmsbroadcasting.ky. Get your team of 4 signed up and have some fun. Anyway, there's a good story for you.
Yeah.
And also it's a bank holiday, right?
It's fun to do stuff like that. Absolutely.
It is. And you get to see, it's Discovery Day. So you're discovering the island because you're going to go around to different checkpoints.
Nice. So. I love it.
Well, Blake will either be here tomorrow or he won't. Betting on flight connections.
Depending on the storm.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway,
awesome.
Either way, I'll see you tomorrow. All right, Sandy?
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
All right, folks. Buenos dias. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Give me one quick second. I need to go make some adjustments to my air conditioning. Had this new thermostat system put in, and it's a little bit panicky. It looks like I have to manually adjust it. I'm like, what's the purpose of a smart thermostat? You know what my husband said? He's like, that's why you don't get rid of the old for the new. keep the Honeywell that was working just fine. And I was like, yes. All right, give me one quick second. We're going to figure out what it's doing, though. There has to be a logical explanation. Oh, my apologies. I said yes. Take the advice from Marlon, who said an old ting is better than a new ting. I say, yep. Well, we have sorted out this ting. Don't worry about that. Okay, beautiful folks. Let's do roll call. We do have some guests who are going to be joining us around 8:00 this morning. We're going to do some participation exercises today in class. Y'all ready? Oh, my apologies. Somebody said Sandy. Where's the link this morning? Ooh, hold on. My goodness, I'm so sorry. Sending it right now. Right now. Okay, honey child. Right. Hold on, folks. Hold on. Let me see here, honey. There we go. Sending that out to my broadcast list. All 500 of you should get that here shortly. There you go. All right. Jaquim says, lindo de más. Diamond Princess, happy Thursday. Lovely people. Be safe on the roads today. Remember to show some love. Yes. Shaka Zulu's in the house. Irvin, good morning to you. Irvin, you have got to stop with these AI photos now. They are just too cute. They are just cute, too cute. Good morning, Madam Dean Sinclair. Wee Wee is holding it down. Siobhan is here. Good morning, Shells. Julia says, good morning, beautiful people. Miss Barbara is here. Good morning, darling. Olivia Damaris from Nueva York. Miss Pat Miss Alba says, buenos dias, everybody. Siobhan says, imagine if she did do it because of her inappropriate behavior, she gets to walk. Oh, well, I mean, she assaulted the person. I don't think that that's what was in question. But it still made for an unsafe conviction. There's no doubt. It wasn't like a theft and it was like, oh, who done it? Big mystery. She attacked and assaulted someone. So yeah, she kind of did that. But it just goes to show you that you know, you can mess up a case by the behavior. It's same thing with the Makiva Bush case. They never got to send that to jury. And it's not a question of, oh, he didn't do it. We never got to see what the jury thought about that. It became a question of procedurally, the prosecution got it all wrong. They were trying to force a witness who said she did not want to testify, and the court said, no, you can't do this. She's a victim. And so I don't know. We haven't heard anything yet. And if they're intending to retry that case and what they're doing with it. But, you know, that's squarely on their shoulders. They're the ones who screwed that one up. So it's entirely possible, Siobhan, for someone to be guilty, but procedurally you mess it up and the judge will throw it out. Yeah, it happens much more under the US system because they're very, very big on procedure. And I'm sure you've probably seen some cases where, like, you know, they caught the murderer like red-handed, right? With the knife standing over the dead body kind of situation. And they had to let them walk because somebody forgot to read the person their Miranda rights or whatever. And you think, well, what's the big deal? You know, the big deal is you're about to take away somebody's freedom. And so generally speaking, the court wants to ensure that you do it the right way. That's why they have these procedural things in place to protect all sides, but really and truly, everyone is considered innocent until proven otherwise. So they're giving, you know, that person legally the benefit of the doubt. So yes, honey child, when people mess it up, it is what it is. Anise, good morning. Aliano, so good to see you. Yeah, Anise, this is a very interesting situation with the AstraZeneca, which I don't think we had that one here. We did the Pfizer and then the Moderna as a booster. So, yeah. But I mean, listen, have y'all ever seen these commercials on TV for drugs? And they're like, and the serious side effects are, and you go, wait a minute. I'm taking a drug for eczema, just as an example, but it can kill me and give me a heart attack. Every single drug, I mean, I can't think of any that wouldn't have side effects. And often it's a trade-off between the side effects being, you know, 1 in 100,000, 1 million, whatever. And then the chances of you getting something that's more likely to kill you, it's a trade-off. And if you take blood pressure medications, you're taking diabetic meds, all of those things, if you were to read the side effects, you would probably be like, what the heck am I taking? And, you know, yeah. So, I mean, I thought it was interesting how hyper-focused people were on vaccines. And, you know, we all get vaccines, vaccinated, different types of vaccines as we're growing up. And most of them have a side effect of some sort. It's just that they pass the mark because for most people, 99% of the people, you're not going to have a serious side effect. And again, at this stage, you know, billions of people have now had the benefit of vaccines. And it has, without a doubt, the COVID vaccine has saved lives. You know, I'm sure it's more about, yes, it's in rare cases it was causing blood clots, but also they know that the better vaccine, which is actually is the mRNA, is now readily available. There's tons of surplus in that. So the market isn't favorable to them anyway. So this was a business decision. But yes, it's voluntarily withdrawing its European Union marketing authorization. So yeah. So on May the 7th, European Medicines Agency issued a notice that the vaccine is no longer authorized for use. So I guess people who might still have some are going to go ahead and dump it. But they said there was a significant decline in demand for the AstraZeneca. So it was no longer being manufactured or supplied. But literally they gave over 3 billion doses to people. And when you think about that, 3 billion doses to 6.5 million people, and they've identified, I think the number was 83, if I read that correctly, people who suffered this rare side effect. I mean, that's a negligible amount. Obviously, you don't want to be one of the 83, without a doubt, but it is a very, very negligible amount. So it said that the rare syndrome occurred in about 2 to 3 people per 100,000 who were vaccinated with Vaxzevria vaccine. Yep. So it is what it is. So thank God we had Pfizer. But I mean, even with Pfizer, I mean, go read listen, nobody's gonna, and from day one, no one has ever said, I have certainly never said that, oh, these vaccines there'll be no side effects, blah, 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 blah. You need to go read for yourself. But a lot of people are out there claiming side effects and trying to blame the vaccine for stuff that I'm like, that ain't got nothing to do with the vaccine. You were obese and had all these issues before COVID. I mean, I couldn't believe the people who were like, oh, my heart. And I'm like, you had a heart issue before COVID. Like, seriously, you're 200 pounds obese, and that might lead to issues. People are blaming everything. People had strokes before COVID, and then they might have had a second or third stroke after COVID. After vaccine, they're like blaming it on the vaccine. I'm like, so what caused the first stroke? You do know that after you've had one stroke, you are prone to have more strokes, especially since you made 0 lifestyle changes and you're still eating whatever you want. You're still drinking, smoking, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Human beings, we do not want to take accountability for nothing in our lives. It's easy to blame something else, some obscure, we think it's obscure vaccine that had 30 years of research behind it. Oh no, it's the vaccine. Then y'all need to talk about all the deaths before the vaccine because the math ain't mathing, honey child. Shaka Zulu says, I had a similar thing. It turned out to be the eco settings and thermostat that causes the irregular changes in temperature. Try reading up on the eco settings feature on that spot, which I'm curious, Shaka Zulu, which smart thermostat did you have? Because I suspect that might be the case, because when I'm in the app, it keeps coming out with this Eco Plus thing that it wants me. And I thought I turned it off, but maybe I haven't. So yeah, this one's kind of interesting because it supposedly gives you like air quality information or whatever. But listen, speaking of air quality, it's just got so many settings. I mean, look at all this stuff. My brain is confused by all the settings. Anyway, I'll definitely have to figure it out. But I must tell you that I'm going to have an air quality test done at the guys who are at Polar Bear Air Conditioning. They're going to come and do an air quality assessment because, I've been talking about the fact that I've had some allergies and stuff. So they're going to come in and have a look at that for me. This person says, talk up the truth, Sandy. Have a good day. Vaccines save lives. Absolutely. So Okay. All right. Let me see here, honey child. So yesterday morning, we were talking about the premiere being off island. And the word on the street, I'm just giving y'all, I'm selling it to you as cheap as I got it. The word on the street is she does not believe in emancipation because she said she was never a slave, and I guess Cayman didn't have slaves or whatever. I said, okay then, honey child, you might want to go back to the history books. And your education minister, what a hot mess. Anyway, I saw after a discussion, now I ain't taking credit for nothing. I am going to say that this is a coinkydink, not a coincidence. This is a coinkydink. So here the coinkydink now. Remember I told you guys she wasn't here, and then towards the end of the show, our radio listeners might have missed this part, but somebody called in and said, Sandy, she's on a cruise. I was like, who takes a cruise when they know as a country we are going to be celebrating Emancipation Day the first time in 62 years? That's when you schedule your vacation? A little bit suspicious. Very suspicious. And then when you hear on top of it that she doesn't support emancipation, the celebration of it, well, then you know why the vacation was planned at that time. Because as far as I know, these people have been planning this since last year, like November or something. Big shout out to the ministry staff because they really worked hard. So she doesn't show up to any of the events. She's not here. Well, you know, that doesn't set well with me. Sorry for you, honey child, but that does not set well with me at all. Scandalous, I say. Scandalous. In fact, let me show you beautiful Caymanians who on Friday and 345 Day were out there representing. We got some pretty people, you know. Caymanians are some good-looking people. Look, yeah. I mean, not for nothing, but don't they look gorgeous? Yes. Who has the bicycle in the front? That's the little guy there in the shorts. Is that Santa? Santa in the summer? In the spring? But look at that. Everybody proudly wearing their hashtag Caymanian Proud shirt. And who should have been in the front of all of this would have been the premier. Nowhere to be found. In fact, do they have any elected officials? I see Isaac in there with his ministry. Deputy governor. Who's that next to the deputy governor? Is that Miss Macfield? Anyway, they're all looking very, very sharp, looking nice. And I would have thought right in the front there, standing up next to the bicycle, should have been our leader of the country, our premier. But she did not participate in anything. She gone about her business, honey child. Yep. So, all right, let me show y'all another beautiful picture of people representing on the government steps. They look absolutely gorgeous. Here we go. Look at there. Check them out. Yes, sir. All looking good. I love it. Tanisha with her little handbag. So anywho, now my sources are telling me that last night somebody sent me a picture to say the BRAC celebrations have been postponed. They said, Sandy, I wonder if they were listening to your show and heard that she's not even going to be here for the celebration of this, even in Cayman BRAC, and they're feeling a little bit of pressure. So now everybody has to postpone it for her to come back. Y'all need to do better. Please, Jesus. Teach people a thing or two about scheduling. Look at these beautiful ladies. Teach them a thing or two about scheduling around national events that have been rebooted after 62 years. How old is she? Is she 62? She's not 62 yet, right? I think she might be that age. So her entire life, she's never celebrated Emancipation Day. And here we are bringing it back as a government, as a people, acknowledging a very important part of her history. And she takes a vacation. Radio listeners, I'm here shaking my head in disbelief. Anyway, let me show you guys the BRAC celebrations. Apparently, someone sent me this, that they're going to have to reschedule it now so that she can actually be there. Because I don't think she had any intentions of being there. Because let me ask y'all a question. As Caymanians like to say, let's pick sense from nonsense. If she was going to be there, right, and that was the plan, surely everybody would have known that before yesterday. And this is what was posted yesterday. Oh, we're going to postpone the celebration in Cayman BRAC until June. Look, yeah, postponed. What a hot mess. Does it say when it's postponed until? They're going to postpone it to the first weekend of June. A whole month, you know? Lord Jesus. Oh, take the wheel, take the bus, take the whole country while you're at it. So there you go. Talk about taking the wind out of the emancipation sail, out of the slave ship sail. The BRACers will close it out. So they're going to have these two events, which were scheduled for this upcoming weekend, now postponed to the first weekend of June. Honey, chill, you never had no vacation planned in advance of all this. Come on now. Wow. I am disappointed, but I guess I shouldn't be. Wow. Anyway, just updating y'all. There you have it, honey, chill. That's what it is. All right, let me see here now. Oh, Shaka Zulu, yes, it's that same one. Okay, you gotta give me some help then. You gotta tell me what settings do I need to change. Help me. The exact same thermostats. Send me a link on how to do it the right way. YouTuber, good morning. Miss Marion says best thing to do is not read the information contained in the package for the side effects of medication. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because that'll scare you. Like I said, you never take anything. Siobhan says they blame the easiest thing, and it was easy to blame the vaccine. Yep, that is true as well. Very, very true, honey chow. Lots of red flags, says Siobhan. Shaka says, did the same thing with bringing in an air quality tester. Results was a duct cleaning and air purifier purchase. No regrets. Oh, this is so good to know. Well, I didn't even know, quite honestly, that, they offered such a service. So I'm very, very pleased. I think next week we're going to schedule it and they're going to send their team over and we're going to see how the air quality is. Sometimes you got to just open up a window to get in fresh air. Even during COVID, that was one of the big recommendations. They're like, viruses need to get out and AC filtering can only do so much. Open a window, get some fresh air. We have relatively good fresh air here, but not so much pollution and whatever. But it's challenging when you have homes and buildings that are built with windows that don't open very well. So yes, thank you, Shaka, for sharing that. Pat says it's a shame that our history is being denied by the premier. Morning, Stephen, joining us from the UK. Siobhan says you can celebrate what you don't believe in, and she doesn't. So nope, she doesn't. I called it like that. She wouldn't be there either if she wasn't there for this one. Good morning, Miss Morna. That's my little alarm reminder. Siobhan, I'm going to get ready, but I'm still listening. All right, honey, Chan. All right, we do have some guests joining us today. And I remember a couple, was that just last week? Felt like it was just last week, but it might have been the week before. We had some representatives from the health ministry in the studio with us, and we were talking about this national, let me get it right now. It is a national health strategy survey. So we talked about in general terms, Miss Aline, you want to know what's in my cup? My cup has beautiful water, nice, fresh ice. Water. That's cup number 1. Cup number 2, I don't know why Miss Stacy started making me hot tea again, because I haven't really been drinking hot tea. But this is hot tea. This is some kind of herbal, 85% organic and gluten-free. I don't know why you need gluten-free tea, but there you go. This one is dandelion mocha mint. So I drink like this much of the tea though. So that's why I hate wasting tea. Miss Stacy, don't make me any more tea for a while. I have to kind of be in the mood for tea, for hot tea. And I've got 3 cups going this morning. I also have in this lovely cup some iced tea. So I'm all teed out. I got hot tea, iced tea, and water. Don't ask. All right. So we do have some guests in the studio this morning, and things are going to be a little bit different. So the first session, this is where my beautiful students, I know y'all are paying attention. The first session was kind of laying the groundwork for, okay, this is what the National Health Survey, new consultation is all about. And the minister was here and a lot of you called in. Now this one, they actually want your participation. So what that means is that they're actually soliciting your feedback. Now I know last time they didn't solicit your feedback, but y'all gave them a lot of feedback, but we need to focus on what the feedback is this time around. So we're going to take your phone calls. 936-2626, as you guys know, is a telephone number. And we are also going to, you can send WhatsApp messages, social media comments. I don't know who else you might want to call us, but anyway that you want. And the main question now, we're going to bring in our ministry folks here, is what are some of the main issues relating to health and wellness in the Cayman Islands? So what really concerns you? So first of all, we've got Miss Felicia McLean back with us. Good morning, Miss Felicia. How are you? Okay, you got yourself muted. So just hit that little unmute.
Good morning. Button. Got it right now. How are you?
Doing very well. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Yes, fantastic. So tell us what sort of you're soliciting now, feedback from people. Like I said, they gave it to you last time without even asking, but this time
really
around,
grateful for that though.
Yes. What specific feedback are we looking for this time around?
We are looking for everything and anything. I mean, yesterday we had the blessing of being on the radio, and a gentleman called in and explained his struggles with trying to get to see the doctor on a regular basis. It was a really good feedback in regards to what people need. And we're hoping that more people today will call in or WhatsApp in and just let us know what issues do they have related to healthcare and wellness, whether it be access to care, whether it be unable to follow the doctor's orders in regards to medications because they can't afford them, whether it's so insurance issues, whether it be, food sustainability in the islands because, we're told to eat healthy, but we can't actually afford to eat healthy. Any and everything that you think could be affecting air pollution or, any of those things, anything that you feel affects your health, whether it be mental, physical, any aspect of it. We want to hear from everyone so that this can inform our national policy that we're working on for the next 10 years, that'll carry us for the next 10 years.
Yes. So we've got senior policy. Of course, we know that Miss Felicia McLean is the new chief nursing officer. And we also have the senior policy advisor, Miss Lauren, I think it's Dayton. She can correct me if I've gotten that wrong, but we're going to welcome her on as well. Good morning, Miss Lauren. How are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm well, thank you. That's right. Yes. And also new. So really
congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. So the question is, what are some of the main issues relating to health and wellness in the Cayman Islands? They want your feedback. 936-2626 is the telephone number. I saw somebody asking, how do they get a CMR mug? Just WhatsApp me, Shells. We got some in actually just last week, so I can get you sorted out with one of those. Good morning, Mr. Robert. So this is your time to speak up now. Miss Miriam has joined the conversation. She says cost of medication for seniors needs to be reduced. So that's one of the concerns there. So again, you can WhatsApp your messages. You can call. There we go. That's what I love about my audience. Y'all are wide awake. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. So I just have a question. In regards, because I had to go to the hospital a few weeks after my newborn was born, and the doctor sent the prescription to the pharmacy.
Yes.
But then when I went to the pharmacy, then on Wednesday to collect, the lady said that she has to process it. So I was a little bit confused on why the prescription wasn't ready. And like, you know, in my situation with a newborn and then the line was long, that was a little bit setback. So then I had to leave. So I want to know when, since they start saying that they have to process it once you go there and then you have to wait. So
okay. So basically the delivery time of medications.
Yeah, because I even gave it time because I went to the doctor on Saturday and then I went to get the prescription on Wednesday.
Oh, and it still wasn't ready.
No, it says you had to process it.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened there, but we do have HSA listening and we are taking notes. So we'll definitely ensure that they're aware of that. I don't, like you said, I don't know of any new policies that are in place that says, you know, you have to wait for the person to present to then be able to fill the prescription, but it's definitely something we can look into. So thank you for that comment for sure.
And I know that the ministry is also, we're looking at the pharmacy, reforming the pharmacy bill. So we've gone out and done a lot of consultation and, you know, if this is happening to the caller, perhaps this is also happening to other people. And I'm sure this has sort of come up. So we can go back and have a look at it. But thank you for raising it. But I know that there are different bits and pieces that have come up for pharmacy through that consultation process as well. And one thing we really want to think about when we're developing a new national health strategy is access to medication, access to health services. So access in the broadest sense. So if you found that there's a barrier for you accessing medication, accessing a health service, there isn't a health service available that you wanted to access, please call in and let us know, because this is your opportunity now, so we can think about what that looks like for the country for the next 10 years.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, caller.
Thank you.
All right. 936-2626 is the telephone number. National Health Strategy. They want your views on what are some of the main issues relating to health and wellness in the Cayman Islands. Wonderful. We got another caller. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Not sure if the Health Insurance Commission is also listening, but I think it should be mandatory that health insurance includes therapy.
Okay.
Like counseling.
So more mental health options.
Yeah, a lot of people don't have access to that. And yes, I know we have some free clinics and stuff, but oftentimes those are booked for like months, and then you don't have access to therapy when you need it.
Very good. Thank you. Some great suggestions.
And it's so important, we think, because, you know, when we think about health, sometimes people tend to think about the physical health. But actually, you know, we need to start a conversation around the importance of mental health and how it's on par with physical health, and then the wellness element as well, and well-being. And so, you know, when Chief Nursing Officer was talking about, you know, the impact of the environment on your health, you know, we need to think about health in the broadest sense, in a holistic sense. So thank you for raising that. I think that's really important.
Absolutely. Phone lines open, folks. Don't miss this opportunity. Let them hear directly your thoughts. I've got a couple that are coming in via WhatsApp as well. So give me one quick second. I'm going to read some of these. So this person says, good morning. Oh, yes, that's another question. Okay, hold on. Just going to make sure we're reading the relevant. So this one says, legalize abortion. Wow. Another person says mental health services, like there's a delay with the provision of mental health services. So they would like to have better access to those.
Sandra, one of your guests wrote in that the referral process between Cynical and HSA is awful. I wonder if we could get them to give us a little bit more information as to what part of that process is awful, just so we could actually use. It'd be more helpful if we had more information.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me see here now. This person says, yeah, they're sending another question. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Sandra.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Good morning to you and your guests.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
A couple of things. I think as far as the health goes, a lot of it has to do with the complacency.
Just speak up a little bit for me. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I said, I think
yes,
part of the problem with health is complacency. People don't just get up and move.
Yes.
And of course, the delicious island foods that are offered aren't the best for our health. And the other things for mental health that I think has a lot to do with the traffic that we deal with on a daily basis.
Right.
Especially during the rush hours. It's very frustrating and time consuming, and we spend a lot more time on the road coming and going. And also when it comes to getting approval from your insurance companies to have anything done, this takes too darn long. You go in for a consultation, everything's okay, and then they say, well, we have to check for your insurance, which of course I myself have had insurance, but it just takes so long to get that approval to do anything. So there's a lot of things that affect your health, mental health, and I just think it's, a matter of looking at the big picture. And also when it comes to medication, people think, oh, let's go to the doctor. They're going to give me a pill. I'm going to be okay, instead of taking care of ourselves, being responsible for ourselves and doing what we need to do, our part, and stop depending on the pills.
Right. Very good. Thank you so much. Those are some excellent suggestions.
You bet.
All right. Let me see here now. Morning, Miss Emma. Natasha says all district clinics need to be open every day and for urgent care 24/7 eventually. They all need to have fully stocked and staffed pharmacies, and there's nowhere near enough staff and facilities for the number of patients that they have. Cynical coverage needs to be expanded. The district clinics are in terrible condition. HSA's main hospital isn't much better. Getting ADHD medication is beyond a difficult process now. It's affected my mental and physical health in a negative manner, and I've gone without and I'm assuming the rest of that says without my medication. Andy says free access to contraceptives could help with teenage pregnancies. Don't we have that already? I think that's, for me, I think if I could throw in a suggestion, Felicia and Lauren, is some better way of communicating with the public. Because I think there are things that are available. I'm pretty sure you can get free contraceptives and nobody seems to know anything about it. So there has to be a wider, sort of PR campaign for what services are available out there. That would be very, very helpful.
No, for sure. I think from a public health standpoint, we could do a bit better in health promotion in regards to everything that is offered, like you said, that's out there. And I can't swear to it, but I know in the past they used to have the free contraceptive. I don't know if that's changed. We'd have to check with HSA and their policies. But I know there was family planning was a big part of public health initiative, and that would be included in that part. But I'm happy to check and give you some feedback just so you can let your callers know.
This person on Instagram says, does this strategy have anything to do with the WHO pandemic treaty? I don't know what the WHO pandemic treaty is, but what is that? Do we know what that is? And I know last week I think it was last week you guys were on, we went over the strategy has been in place before. It just hasn't been updated recently. So I doubt it has anything to do with any treaties or anything like that, right?
Correct. It has nothing to do with that. We had a policy that was issued back in 2012, and it was good for 5 years. It expired in 2017. We haven't had a policy in place since then that really set the standards of, like Jay said, the healthcare issues, the insurance issues, all of those things has not been updated since 2017. So we are just trying to close the gaps and ensure that we have a standard of care and governance for regarding to our healthcare for the next 10 years. So this is completely separate and apart from that.
Mm-hmm. And just to assure people, we are going out and speaking with people, and we are genuinely wanting feedback. We're not just doing this as a bit of a checkbox exercise, like we're not going into it saying, these are predefined things that we want to include, and we're just going out to the public just to say we've done it. No,
right.
We're not doing that. We really want to hear your feedback, and whatever people tell us, we really want to try and take that on board in this new strategy. So
call in, folks. This is your opportunity. Y'all clean people don't listen to you. Now they're saying we're listening. 936-2626. Don't pass up this opportunity. Natasha says the referral process for Synico/HSA is awful. I think they've asked for additional details on what you mean exactly by that. She goes on to say update the standard health insurance fees and need to be updated yearly, should be mandatory. Bar insurance companies from discriminating against pre-existing conditions.
So can we speak to that quickly? In regards to health insurance, we are in the process of relooking at the health insurance stuff. That is actively on the table. We're meeting every other week on that. So hopefully something soon will come out on that before the end of the year in regards to update on the fees and the whole health insurance policies.
Okay, good. Because I understand even physicians complaining that fee structure has been in place for like 20 years or whatever. It hasn't been updated. And they're like, well, it's not fair to us either, because the cost of everything we do has gone up as well, right? All right. Misha says, good morning, all. Can we have an update on my HSA app, please? Number one, there are a few doctors not listed in the app. Number two, any appointments made via the app never get responded to. And it's a very useful app if it's functional. Keep up the good work. Okay.
We will bring that to HSA. That one's a little bit outside of our remit, but like I said, it'd be really useful to have apps in general that people can use from home to access booking appointments and that kind of stuff. Like I agree with her, a functioning app would be very useful, and I'm sure it is functioning, but maybe it needs some tweaking. So we will bring that to HSA's attention.
Ms. Marcia says, good morning, Sandy, and to the representatives. Maybe more a question for the health commissioner. What can be done for the elderly, the average pensioner? Natasha says that government Synico only covers 1,500 OP for mental health services. Is that per annum? I don't know. Okay. So just try to be, when you're sending this feedback, I guess try to be as detailed as possible so that they can get a really good idea of the exact nature of the complaint. So Christopher says, how can the HSA improve the wait time in the emergency room? There's no reason a patient should wait for 4 hours to see a doctor. All right, so some of these are HSA specific, but I want to remind you guys the actual question is a little bit more general than the HSA. So the question really that they're seeking your feedback is, what are some of the main issues relating to health and wellness in the Cayman Islands? So that's the overarching discussion points this morning. So Ms. Annie says, yes.
So, and also just that point on the elderly, just that you made before, Sandra. Felicia and I are going around next week and the following week, pretty much throughout the rest of May, to engage with different groups in the community. So we are going out to speak with the elderly and meet them where they are, and sit down with them, talk with them, find out what are the issues that are coming up for them, getting them to engage in the survey. So that is a group of people that we are really looking to engage with, and we know we've got an aging Caymanian population, so that's a real focus area for us. And similarly, for young people and for youth, we really want the young people to engage with us. So we're going out next week in the morning to speak with young people. So, but you can use different mediums. So you can email us, you can WhatsApp in. So I would just encourage everyone to engage.
Right. Phone call. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Yeah. Hey, morning, Sandra.
Morning.
Your guest as well. Pleasant morning.
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 I was hoping that the minister, Minister Turner, would have been on this morning, but perhaps your guest could touch on, I guess, my question. At her last presence, at the minister's last presence, I had asked her 2 questions, and she answered the first. She answered the latter, but did not get to the first. The question that I asked was, given the rapid growth of the population, and it seems to be a political ambition, not just by one political group, but by all of them, to grow the population up to 100,000 or more. And I asked the question, is there or has there been any plans to grow, to develop or to build a new modernized hospital facility that can adequately, properly deal with the demand for healthcare services? And then I'll ask another question if I may.
Okay. So, yes, I mean, this morning they're taking your suggestion. So let's turn that around from a question to suggestion. So your suggestion is the building of a new government hospital?
Well, no, it's either I dare suggest that we spend more capital money. I really, sometimes I think it's nonsensical. So I don't want to suggest that they build a new one for the sake of building one. But it seems that it may lend to that it becomes necessary that we invest the capital to advance our current healthcare infrastructure. A typical example of that is just yesterday evening I got an emergency call about an individual who's rushed to the hospital, but there was no available beds. The individual had a stroke, and he had to put in a waiting circle type of thing. So you wait until a bed is available, and this is not uncommon. This is very common, yeah. And there's so many stories and reports of this where such experiences happen, and it's clearly a shortage. I think the last I understood we had, I think it was 27 beds, and I've been to a number of emergency planning programs at the hospital, different emergency groups, and that has always been the crisis. So it seems as if currently the methodology is get in, get out, get in, get out, out, because we need a rotation of the beds, and that is not how healthcare should be run. And this is not a critique on any one particular political group. This is just a failure on this growth trajectory that we have into growing the population. So that discussion must be had, and perhaps this is not the audience, but I was hoping that the minister at the time would have touched on it. Do we have any current discussions or plans or concepts on purchasing, land somewhere that we can build a decent facility? And I'll close with this, since the proper persons aren't here, but I'll close with this. It is such a blessing when you have, Sandra, it may sound a little, it may sound a certain way to your guests. I think it has to be said because it has to be said. It's such a blessing when you have Health City on your show, and to hear them and the facilities and what they have available. And our national product, our national healthcare product is seemingly not to par, and I think it's something that we need to look at on an urgent basis, because what we can get at the HSA is not always available for those who don't have particular means. Yeah. So I just thank you so much, and I'll listen to the
Okay, thank you so much. Very good comments there. Felicia and Ms. Lauren?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to just like you said, flip it back and say these comments help to inform this national strategy. And so if there is a genuine lack of ability to manage the caseload that we're currently having on the island, or with the potential growth, this health strategy would help us to put something in place to ensure going forward this supports the ministers and the government as to why they may need to spend more money or put more money into a particular area to create more beds. And that's exactly why this is so important, because we don't want them to do it because this minister comes in and says, this is what I want to do because I feel it's the right thing to do. This consultation period gives us the facts to say this is what we need. And if 3 and 4 and 5 people all say the same thing, then yes, that is an issue that needs to be addressed. And then they can hopefully go from there with putting things in place to address these issues.
Data-driven decisions. Yep.
And, thank you so much for the comments. That was so helpful. When we think about hospital-based care or that institutionalized care, it is appropriate for the majority of the people that need it. But for others, can we think about other models of care, like community-based care, and how can we empower people to access health services within their community? And that goes back to the access question that I kind of had at the beginning. So when we think about healthcare, we're also thinking about different models of care. So just to say that as well.
Yes, very good. All right, we do have several callers on the line. So the first caller ending in 4695. Good morning, caller.
Good morning again. I just wanted to comment on what the last caller was saying in regards to the beds in the emergency room. I think there are several issues going on there. I've visited before and seen the issues. I think one of them is, and to give HSA props where props is due, they've recently done the urgent care clinic at a different location and stuff like that. I think that may be more communication with the public to let them know this is when you should visit the emergency room. Because I think oftentimes people visit the emergency room when it's not a true emergency. So then when you have true emergencies, the beds are full.
Right.
When in reality, a lot of those people should have went to the urgent care clinic instead of the emergency room. So to give HSA, credit where credit is due, they seem to have been trying to address that issue with the urgent care clinic.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, caller. Appreciate it. All right. Next caller, you're up. Good morning.
Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning, dear.
In defense of the Georgetown Hospital or HSA, I got a head cold, so I was like a frog. I've been there many times, and I have been treated like royalty. We got to stop taking what other people are saying, negative things about the hospital. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. But the thing about it is that I've had an emergency life-saving operation by Dr. Matthews. He told me if he did not operate on me that Monday morning, I would not be alive by Wednesday. I had a perforation on my small intestines, and they had and if that had busted, I would have been dead. He operated on me on Monday morning, and by Wednesday, I had no pain at all. I had some discomfort. They had to take out about 6 inches of my small intestine so they could do a biopsy in that and put my intestine back together. By Wednesday or Thursday that same week, that was 2017 when I had this operation, and I was eating solid food by Wednesday or Thursday of that same week in the hospital. The treatment that I got there, I couldn't ask for any better treatment anywhere in the world. I had stage 4 throat cancer, and if the what's her name there, the lady there in referrals, if she had not been doing her job, or her staff had not been doing the job that I would never have gotten the treatment that I had at Baptist Hospital. Due to what they have done, I'm alive today. I'm not saying I met many doctors, top doctors from the United States, and they said, what is going on at the hospital is nothing compared with any other hospital. some of the best hospitals in the world will screw up. You know, it's sad. You know, I'm not saying that we have the best service, but I can tell you what, the service at the HSA has improved tremendously. I go to the West Bay Clinic, and the only thing that the West Bay has got is the comical. The only time that they go there is when Dr. Christian is there, or they don't have nobody to talk to. They must be the loneliest people because half of them are never sick. Anyway, and I go there and they're complaining because you got to wait for an hour for medication. Where else in the world can you go and get free medication? You know, it's sad, but I can tell you, I have had, you know, I've had so many times going to the hospital and the service that I get. If people go with a positive attitude instead of taking what they hear about the hospital, things would be so much better.
All right, caller. Thank you very much.
Anyway, I'll leave you with that.
Appreciate it. All right, we have 936-2626. Just a reminder that phone lines are open. Annie says, I hope they can also look at the logistics of the emergency area of the Georgetown Hospital because it's always slow in there. So same thing that Christopher just said. So obviously wait times, maybe generally speaking. Natasha says the referral process lost referrals in the system. Cynical referrals for outside not approved despite a 4-month wait for an appointment and then a 4-month wait for a follow-up appointment after that. Wow. We do have another person. Hold on one second. On WhatsApp. Says the cost of healthcare is extremely high in the Cayman Islands as well as health insurance, and the benefits of health insurance are limited and excludes pre-existing conditions, which makes it very difficult to ever change insurance companies as you may never get covered again for that pre-existing condition. Interesting. Good morning, caller. Uh-oh. I think they got disconnected. All right. Let me see here. We've got, this person says, yes, HSA only prepares when people get there, or if they call prior they'll tell you to give them 1 hour to prepare. That's the pharmacy. So in relation to the previous caller, the mother, ADHD meds are not hard to get if your doctor has regular follow-ups with you and provides a prescription on each visit. This is an option for telemedicine. There is an option, for telemedicine consultations to update medical records and track progress. The pharmacy's meds availability is another topic, as some do run out of certain drugs or certain doses, but if you call around, you can get through 98% of the time. Also, by not waiting until you're on your last pill helps. This listener to the program says, I had to wait a month for Cynical Insurance to renew and 2 weeks for the referrals to get renewed. And I have severe depression and I'm in therapy 3 times a week. So you can only imagine how it feels when you're having to wait for so long before going back, to therapy. So they need to do something about the backlog. So you can mention that. Appreciate you saying the first one. Yeah. Okay. Not sure what to say other than they need to do something about mental health and referrals, and Cynical Insurance shouldn't take so long to sort out a person for mental health. According to HSA, for mental health services, for the referrals are backlogged, and sometimes people have to wait 2 months. Wow. I mean,
it's a long time when your mental health isn't feeling like it should be, and you feel it off kills. So definitely great feedback in these regards. Things that we wouldn't catch had it not been for these consultation periods to really hear from different people exactly what their experiences are. I'm interested though in regards to the insurance with cynical coverage, why they're at why they would need to renew, which kind of category do they fall in regards? Because I can't imagine that if you're paying every month that there'd be any renewal process in regards to that. So I'm not sure why they needed to renew.
It's probably NAU related. Because I think there's like an assessment. I'm not 100% familiar, but I think that there is like an assessment period there. So that sounds like that's what that is. But the person can clarify. And again, you're sending through these comments. We appreciate it so much. Just provide as much information as possible so that we can ensure that both Miss Lauren and Felicia understand and are able to take the feedback back as accurately as possible. So Risa says, yes.
And I think mental health, I think it's one of those things that keeps coming up. So thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your experiences with us. I just want to quickly give the number for Cayman. So I'm not sure if people know about this, but it's a number that you can call, and it's dedicated to mental health support. So it's 1-800-534-MIND. So that's 6463. So you can reach out to that number. So I'm not saying in terms of, the person that had the chronic depression with the 3 appointments, a week, that's probably, that's not an appropriate, but I'm just saying for the community that might need to kind of check in with their mental health, that service is available for people.
Now, is that an emergency service or what exactly is that?
Yeah, it's not an emergency service. So if you're in crisis, I would say, access support straight away through the hospital. But this is just a 1-800, a free call line for you to be able to call into. But we can put up, there's more information on the website. We can make sure that there is something on our webpage around that.
Thank you so much. So Risa says, getting the referral approved by the CMO can take weeks. And if you're traveling, that delay can affect overseas appointments and travel arrangements. So referrals going through the chief medical officer. Ms. Pat says that please address the noise level from staff in the ER. It's not a pleasant experience to hear staff engaging in personal conversation or shouting across the room while suffering a migraine or some other ailment, sending you to the emergency room. Natasha says you should have a right to choose your healthcare provider. That's interesting. I mean, I guess you do, don't you? I mean, you could deny, like if you work for someone and you don't like the provider that they have, you can go out and get your own insurance, but logistically and in terms of costs, that wouldn't normally make sense for you.
Yeah, I mean, even when I worked privately, I had the ability. Now, some insurance plans will say if you go to these doctors, they're within network. Obviously, they cover more. So I don't know if they're meaning that when they choose healthcare providers outside of their network, that then the cost goes up. And maybe there's some overarching guidance or support from legislation that allows for more universal care with whoever you want. So kind of a standardized system. If they're hinting towards something like that, that means that you could go anywhere versus having some you can go to and some you pay more to be able to go to them. I don't know.
Unless she's with Cineco, because then obviously Cineco
correct.
Is more of a closed network. So she also
sorry, and on patient rights, is that are people aware of their rights? Do you know you have a right to access your medical records, or you have a right to a second opinion? Or so is this something that the public would want to see in a national health strategy? So I think when we think about health and well-being and wellness, what are the range of different things that people want to see? Maybe that's one of them.
All right. Natasha says massive failures in SOP and urgent care and emergency care, head CTs not being done when indicated. Wow. One question I had for the male caller who was saying, do we need to perhaps expand the services of the HSA? I was sort of thinking about this. There are private hospitals out there. And I wonder if instead of government spending massive amount of money, I mean, obviously you have to do a sort of cost benefit analysis, right? Look at the dollars and cents. But instead of them spending massive amount of money acquiring land and maybe building new facilities and renting, because the HSA has multiple campuses. There's the main hospital. There's the one on Smith Road, I think Medical Center is what it's called now. The dental clinic is somewhere else. I mean, they're kind of spread out. They're also West Bay Road now. You can go physiotherapy there. So they are expanding. It's just not like at one central location. And most of those places, that's an additional cost in terms of rent. I can't help but wonder if a better business case could be made for having like a collaborative approach between other local hospitals and physicians to offer those services. Like maybe the HSA doesn't have to do everything. So, one of the things that's been a little bit of a feather in everybody's hat, not a feather, that's not the right term I'm looking for, but that has been an issue of debate really, is we have Health City Cayman Islands in the East End who has, emergency care. Like you can go there after a car accident, whatever. And a lot of people don't seem to know that. And then there's this issue of, well, the government ambulances need pre-approval to be able to take patients there. So if you have a near drowning in East End, you're going to transport someone all the way from East End, past that hospital, come all the way to Georgetown, lose critical time, an hour later, you get them here. And that hour could mean the difference between life and death when they have the facilities there to help and to, and it's like there's some sort of disconnect between the two. And I'm wondering if something like that can't be looked at to see how there could be more of a collaborative approach with medical facilities in the Cayman Islands instead of a competitive one. Just my suggestion. Caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
I agree with that last comment.
Speak up a little bit for me. I'm hearing you coming in. You agree with that last comment? Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't get the chance to say congratulations to Felicia and her new position. She's a beautiful person. And she was great. My wife, and it actually still makes me cry just to think about how well she helped my wife. But I'd like to say that healthcare facilities should not be a place in which there is coercion. And during the lockdown and the push to vaccinate everyone regarding the coronavirus, I think people should, doctors, professionals, bureaucrats, politicians, any decision maker that might influence or affect how a doctor carries out their responsibilities to look after the patient first and give the patient informed information so that the patient can make an informed decision should be the goal. There shouldn't be Minister of Tourism out there promoting $100,000 prize if you come and take this quote safe and effective thing that was not properly tested. That doesn't sit well with me. That put a lot of serious psychological pressure on people who felt they didn't want to take it, but they had to take it because they had to choose between their job and paying for their children's education and food on the table. That kind of nonsense needs to stop. In Germany, they hung people for doing things against the best interests of patients and against the best interests of individuals in society. You don't do that. Don't do it again. And I'm afraid that there's plenty of people today who make it seem as though nothing was wrong. And they're going out of their way, including the HSA, to continue to fight for positions that are not sustainable. Right? But a lot of people gave into it and they regretted it. And I think we need to appreciate what you do to someone when you put them in that position. Having said that, whenever I go to the HSA, generally speaking, I get good care. I wouldn't say that it is absolutely perfect, but in light of the fact that hospitals, in a lot of instances, especially the emergency room, is about controlling a constant state of chaos, I think they do a reasonably good job on taking care of people. Sometimes the wait is a little bit lengthy, but if it is true, if it is true that they're genuinely working on other patients inside of there, sometimes healthcare in emergencies take a little bit longer than you expect. So I think on the comments about, about the quality of the care, in an emergency situation, I think that people should be able to have a little more patience in that circumstance. And on the non-emergency side, I think perhaps the hours of non-emergency here could be looked at to see how best to accommodate so that people don't have to go into the emergency and wait 2 hours. I don't know. I think something should be done in that area there. The communications. I think you might want to look at what Sandy is doing on CMR and how she's communicating with the public to see how you can adopt some of her strategies. I'm just kidding you. But on someone said about prescriptions. Now, if I feel that if I go to the hospital and the doctor tells me, here's what we think is wrong with you, and if you would like to have this prescription, maybe you could have it, or it's not absolutely required. Don't get it, and just let it waste, or just say to the doctor, I don't need it, so that it doesn't show up as something that might need to be actioned, because the time of everyone in that facility is extremely valuable. And don't cause it to be overloaded with unnecessary work. There is one more point about prescriptions.
Okay.
I made an official complaint to the chief officer for the Ministry of Health regarding the unlawful actions of the chief medical officer, in which he said that pharmacists are prohibited from, by letter, that pharmacists are prohibited from filling a prescription that is not in the original form. In other words, no electronic delivery of the prescription. There is a law called the Electronic Transactions Act that specifically says that nobody except government, and the reason it says except government is because when at the time it was written, government was not in a position to handle electronic transactions, but they can hardly make that argument today. So it is unlawful for the chief medical officer to say to a pharmacy or to a doctor that you can't write a prescription out, scan it, and send it in electronically. It's unlawful to prohibit the doctor from doing that. That's actually one of the most efficient ways. Now, I'm not telling you that we shouldn't get an updated system that allows it to just be done electronically, of course, but we're not there yet. And until we get there, you should not be unlawfully prohibiting those electronic delivery of those prescriptions. And to make matters worse, the Ministry of Health had said to me that they were going to look into it and respond. I made that complaint in the early part of December last year, and I still don't know what they think.
Okay. Shall you leave us there?
Yeah, I just want to say that sometimes when you say certain things, it's like it goes into a black hole, and it's just like nothing happens and nobody says anything and there's no reply, and that happens more frequently, I think, than it ought to happen.
Okay. Sandy, if you don't know it, if you could get his number, we'd be happy to. I can happily, now that I'm in the ministry, look into it. To my knowledge, off the top of my head, it's only narcotic medication that can't be done that way, that you can do regular medication, like your blood pressure medicine, those kind of things in that format. But I don't want to swear to it. I will check into it and I will get back to you, and you can get it to him just so he can actually have a response.
Okay,
well,
yes.
Well, I understand that it's the narcotics, but the point I'm making is that the chief medical officer doesn't have the authority to do that. And so what we need, like in other words, think about it this way. Well, let me tell you one more complaint that I have.
Can I encourage you to be a little bit more succinct as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I was speaking to a doctor, and the doctor asked if I was vaccinated. I said no. And he proceeded to tell me all of the reasons why I should be. And when he was finished, I told him all of the reasons why I shouldn't be.
Okay.
I swear to God, the doctor said to me, I agree with you, but I just can't say it publicly. And what I want to say to you is this, is that when people go to a doctor, an accountant, a lawyer, preacher, they should be getting the hard, cold truth. Okay? It shouldn't be because they were forced to say something that they know as a professional is otherwise.
All righty.
I'll leave it there.
Thank you very much. 936-2626. The telephone lines are open. Natasha says we need an emergency room at the east end of the island, and each fire station should have an EMS unit added on as well. Amani says, I'm always using the HSA app as recently as yesterday to book appointments and always receive a quick response. So there you go. Working for Amani. Sophia, good morning. Ioanni, talking about affordable housing and rent. So this question, Ioanni, today is specific to healthcare. So let me just remind you guys, what are some of the main issues relating to health and wellness in the Cayman Islands? So that's what we were focusing on. So that's a little bit outside of the scope of the discussion this morning. Ms. Hilda, good morning to you. Natasha says stroke, internal trauma, aneurysm, heart attacks, the amount of time to come to East End or North Side and then go back to the emergency room is entirely too long. And many of these emergencies, between the event and surgical intervention is the difference between life and death. So I think we covered that already. Shells says, I think we need to take more of a serious look at the mental health challenges in Cayman. People need to understand what mental health is and what support can and should be made available. For example, like the caller stated about traffic frustration, perhaps staggered start and end working times could really alleviate stresses related to traffic. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Oh, Jesus. I'll send you something.
Okay. All right. No problem. All right, folks.
You just post it out for me.
Yeah, no problem. So just remember, folks, we're on air from 7:30 to 10:30, Monday to Friday. Miss Susie says, yes, no problem, caller.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just reminding you guys we're on air live. So when you call, I'm assuming you're calling into the show. Susie says, what about someone that got their eyes checked and got a referral to see the optometrist at the hospital from last week, Tuesday, have not received a call, and it did not say on the referral ASAP, and they're waiting for people. Are they waiting for people to go blind? Oh my gosh. Well, I sure hope not.
I'd encourage that caller to call in and see if they can chase up where that referral is. I'm not sure what might have happened there. But
Susie, if you want to WhatsApp me, I'll send it directly to the HSA as well. You can send me a WhatsApp message. 936-2626 or 324-1612. Again, another call for mental health. So, I mean, that seems to be a big one. Should be a priority and initiatives implemented to support persons who are suffering. Natasha says a dedicated stroke clinic on island. Jackie says, true story. 2 elderly ladies got a ride to go to the West Bay clinic to get prescription filled. One sent the script a few days before. She was told it would be ready tomorrow. The second tried to get blood pressure pills filled and told it would be ready tomorrow. There were only 3 people in the waiting room, and these ladies have no vehicle. Inquiry into this was, well, this is their policy. Okay. Proper sex education in schools. You don't just keep preaching abstinence, says Natasha. Teach about healthy relationship, how to discuss sex with a partner, take the stigma away and educate properly earlier. Kids are going to have sex. Let's make sure they're doing it safely and can advocate for themselves. Natasha says, what about public health meetings? And are we able to set up a meeting with both of you to discuss further and in detail? So just provide the information again and how they can reach out to give, direct feedback.
So we've actually got community meetings coming up. So thank you for that question. So Tuesday, the 14th of May, next Tuesday from 6:30 to 7:30 at the Theoline McCoy School. And then on Tuesday, the 21st of May, from 1, we have a virtual town hall. So for people that can't come in person, we are streaming a virtual town hall. And so it will be a range of different representatives from the ministry. So we would encourage everyone to attend that. Thursday, the 16th of May at Jasmine from 6:30 to 7:30. And then for the Sister Islands, we are going to the Aston Ruddy Centre on the 6th of June, and that will also be from 6:30 to 7:30. But all of these details are on our website, so we would encourage everyone to please check. If you want to email in, it's mohfeedback@gov.ky, or you can WhatsApp us on 936 4969.
Mm-hmm. All right, beautiful. So we've got another one here. Says, I would submit that a current major issue to health and wellness in the Cayman Islands is the recent changes in policy coming from the CMO or new deputy CMO, resulting in almost a blank policy of denying all referrals outside of the HSA, even when the specialty/service isn't offered within the HSA. I would follow this up by asking why there is a relationship between the HSA and Cineco. If the patient is seen by an HSA doctor and an external referral is made, what is the basis for the denial? This is an HSA employee stating that their patient needs something, only for a disconnected third party to deny it. This is where one would question, is it because it's a Cineco patient, the health provider shouldn't be making decisions based on who the insurer is? It is effectively harming people's health and detriment to their wellness. Very interesting. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Sandra, and good morning to the ladies of the panel.
Good morning.
Yes, I had a thought. I had two thoughts, really. One about public health. One of the things I always hear other people say, I try to eat as healthily as possible, but I hear a lot of people say that eating healthy is very expensive in Cayman, right? And I was wondering what the thoughts of the ladies of the panel are on government possibly subsidizing healthy food, so to make healthy food a bit more cheaper for people to buy.
I think it's a great suggestion for our national policy in regards to that. Like we said, this is across all the government ministries and how each thing plays into overall health and wellness. And it'd be definitely something to consider putting into that national strategy in regards to something that the government could then support.
Okay, Colin.
And my next thing is I keep hearing about mental health, and I can't help but be reminded of a video I watched some time ago of a psychiatrist who said that, who said that when we have mental health issues and we go to mental health professionals such as psychiatrists and psychologists, he said it's the one profession where they don't check the condition of the brain. And he did a whole talk and demonstration of people. He's scanned their brains and saw brain injury, brain trauma, lesser activity in this part of the brain so that they could correctly medicate and fix. Is that something that you all would be able to influence to say, well, make that a standard practice when it comes to mental health checks?
It's definitely something to consider. And like I said, mental health has come up several times, and it is something, thankfully, we're talking about nowadays. In the past, mental health wasn't even on the conversation because no one wanted to admit that it existed. So the mere fact that we're talking about it now and your feedback is very helpful, like we said, in regards to making sure we put the right coverage, the right the things in place that'll ensure that we meet the mental health needs of our community going forward.
And I think for some people, it is really appropriate to medicate. You know, there's no two ways about it. It really supports people and helps them. But for others, talking therapies work. So and it's funny because it's kind of in contrast to the caller we had before around the, sitting in traffic and, he felt like people were over medicated. So, we really need to think about that broad spectrum of mental health support.
Okay, caller, anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All righty. All right. Natasha says free clinics in every district rotated throughout the week. I think some of that is done. Again, there seems to be a disconnect in knowing what's available, for sure. So Ms. Pat says data-driven decisions. Ingrid says it's crucial.
Sorry to interrupt you. Just on the data-driven, so our national epidemiologist, she's just completed the STEP survey, and so we are really looking to the STEPS data to help inform the national health strategy. So thank you for that comment.
Yes, we're all about, we call it the triple D around here, data-driven decisions. Ingrid says it's crucial that we address the issue of insurance coverage for employees in the private sector. Currently, companies are only obligated to provide the bare minimum, often leaving employees with inadequate coverage. We firmly believe that it should be a legal requirement for private sector employers to offer an insurance plan that truly safeguards the health and well-being of their employees. The current practice of providing the lowest level of coverage akin to a mere formality. And then
very good comment for sure.
Yes, very. Miss Carolina says public meetings are going to be held next week, Tuesday, the 14th at Bodden Town Primary, 6:30 to 7:30. Thursday, the 16th at Jasmine Villa off West Bay Road from 6:30 to 7:30. And you can email more detailed information at MOH, that's Ministry of Health, feedback@gov.ky. Morning, Jim. Jim says, why isn't Health City set up to accept emergency situations, especially in life and death situations? Well, I don't think it's not that they're set up, Jim. I'm trying to recall where things were left. They say they're set up. Hello. And they can. It's just that the ambulances. Hi, caller.
How you doing?
Not bad.
Sorry,
How are you?
Sorry for cutting you off this there.
No, that's okay.
Sorry. So a few of the things that people were saying earlier, especially when it comes to the vaccination, the topic that you guys speaking about that, the mental health issues that people are having, and the insurance situation, asking employers to pay more for the coverage of their employees. I like to ask people, where do you think this money is coming from? If you're asking an employer, to pay more and for your insurance, cover you as an individual, right? That's more money coming out of their pockets. Some people may think it's fair, but okay, they employ you. The more money that comes out of their overheads, the less that they can pay you, or the less people that they can employ, right? So just cover yourself. Stop going out to the club. Stop paying for this and that. I know Cayman's expensive. I don't live there anymore, but I know it's expensive. Like, live within your means. Pay for your own way and stop begging. I'm so sick and tired of people begging for more stuff. Live within your means. Secondly to that, I know someone said about the vaccinations and how they were pressured into taking it. I know a lot of people who were injured. I know someone that died from taking the vaccine. I know quite a few people who died from it, actually. I didn't take it because I knew it was a psychological operation by the government to manipulate the masses. So I didn't take it. I'm glad I didn't take it. I was pressured. I lost my job because of it. But certain things I deem to be greater than work, which is my principles. So I will never let the government force me to take anything or do anything that I deem to be irresponsible or wrong. And most people need to take more responsibility for their own actions and stop blaming others for it. So I lost my job because of it, but I was willing to do that. for my own principles. Most people are not willing to do that. Fair enough. So I just wanted to say that. And when it comes to the mental health crisis that people are talking about, and I know someone also mentioned that they want sex education to be greater in schools. I don't want teachers to be teaching my children about sex at all. I'll teach my children about sex and the way to do it and how to do it. I don't need some kind of weirdo in school telling them how to have sex. That's disgusting. That's absolutely vile. And if you think that that's a good thing, just come and look at the education system here in the UK, where they're teaching children how to masturbate. All right,
well, I mean,
children how to masturbate.
I think there's appropriate sex education.
Leave that to the parents.
I'm not sure that that's something that anybody needs to teach you how to do, but okay.
No, leave the sexual education to the parents and their children.
Yeah.
Stop outsourcing particular responsibilities to everyone else but yourself. The schools doesn't need to be teaching children about sex. That's something for the parents to teach children and to pass down their principles to their children.
Maybe the parents need the education first, because a lot of them don't have it either.
Well, in the Christian household that I grew up in, my parents told me to wait to have sex within marriage. Granted, I may not have done that, but everyone is aware of the safety precautions that you need. Everyone knows what a condom is. Everyone knows what contraception is. And stop acting like we're retarded.
Well, I think
we're not intelligent people.
Yeah, but caller, with all due respect, I think that that's an assumption that probably is incorrect when you say everybody's aware. A lot of young people are not aware.
Can you give me an example of someone who is unaware, that in your personal life, that is unaware of birth control and a condom?
Well, I'm a 50-year-old, so the people in my personal life, they've already passed that stage. But if I'm talking to 9 and 10-year-olds who are being pressured by their peers and being taught certain things about sex education, if the parents aren't doing it, which the vast majority of them, like I said, may need educating themselves. The schools are not doing it in an appropriate manner, because I think, there has to be some degree of appropriateness. The alternative is they're going to get the information from their friends. And that's definitely not the best way to get any sort of sex education.
My remedy is not to outsource it to the education system. I don't trust those individuals. Those people have ulterior motives. They answer to a higher power. They have their own board of education that tells them what to do and what to teach. And oftentimes those boards of education, they have agendas that I quite frankly do not agree with.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
If they're going to be teaching my children about sex and what gender and sex is, which to some people it may be, anyone could be whatever they want to be, or some people it's binary where there's only male and female, man and woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Coming from a biblical background, I believe the latter. So I'm not.
You might be getting off topic just a little bit, but okay.
Yeah, sorry, but I'm just saying on the topic of sex and education, I believe that it's something that the parents should be teaching their children, and it should not be outsourced to the education system.
Okay.
Point blank period. That's just the end of that point in particular.
All
but
right.
I just really wanted to say that. I'll let you guys go and have your.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good day.
Okay. Thanks very much. Ms. Jan says, I have to agree with the previous caller about beds and our growing population. The caller also highlighted the attention provided to someone who had a stroke which prompted me to raise the comment and their current arrangements. Most emergency matters require immediate attention, yet there is no sense of urgency for serious matters such as strokes or heart conditions. We've lost too many people on our islands due to this, especially if the issue is after hours. Clearly, the model isn't working. Good morning, caller.
Yes, Sandy, it's me again.
Hi.
To the previous caller, I just wanted to say, asking people to live within their means, yes, that's one thing. But the caller understand that minimum wage on this island is $6 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
If people are making $6.57, $7.50 an hour, tell me how anyone is supposed to live within their means on that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely impossible. And also regarding the sex education in schools, there's a proper way and there's a way that shouldn't be done. Yes, parents should teach their children, but not all parents are capable of teaching children, and some are children having children. So you have to look again at the bigger picture. That when I was in school, we were taught such sex education, and there was nothing wrong at all with the course. Was there little chuckles here and there? Yes, it was, because it was something new, but it was properly taught. It had nothing to do with gender identity. That's not what the sex education that I believe the people are trying to say needs to be taught. It's not about gender identity. It's about, kids having kids that have no business really out here having sex at an age of 12, 13, 14 years old. It's just not,
Yep.
We have to be sensible when we have these conversations. And again, to that previous caller, I think he's right about teaching your children certain things, but not all parents have the capabilities or the desire to even teach a child about anything.
Yeah. And to be clear, there's a difference between teaching your children your moral belief system and teaching them sex education. They're actually two very different things. And I think that last caller was kind of maybe intertwining the two, and there might be some overlapping, but as the initial commenter said, our philosophy on this island, and maybe the Caribbean, is to teach abstinence, which clearly, just looking at the data-driven information, does not work.
Correct.
You can teach it, but you better also back it up with a little bit more than that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And again, it's kids having kids, and it's teaching. Everybody is. I shouldn't say everybody. A lot of people are so accepting of these teenagers being pregnant.
Yeah.
That should not be acceptable. That should not be. Oh, look, I'm going to be a grandmother. I'm going to be a grandfather. Or being proud of something like that. That's not something to necessarily be proud of. Having a young teenager, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, walking around pregnant. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel.
Right.
Not everybody will do it, but that's just how I feel about it. Teach the kids the proper way of being a kid. Let children be children.
Yes. Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. 936-2626 is the telephone number. Honey Badger on Instagram. That's the number if you'd like to call in. So lots of comments. I'm still trying to get through some of these. We need active diabetic clinics and community outreach and educational programs, says Giselle. More public education regularly, says Miss Pat. PSAs, public chat sessions. I think this has certainly been very engaging and an eye-opener. Giselle, thank you very much. Miss Sue says, you're so right, Sandy. I've been thinking the same thing for some time. I'm not sure what comment that was about. That was a few minutes ago. Assisted living facilities and programs for the elderly. Good morning, Miss Yulene. Morning. Jim says, caller, it's called ego. I don't know. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning. I had a quick question in regards to public health. So I know recently there was an influx of hand, foot, and mouth disease. And what I found as a parent handling the situation was there was a lack of connectivity between the school's knowledge, public health knowledge at HSA, and what our employers were being provided. And I'll give you a case in point. The school sent us to HSA, but when we went there, HSA didn't know where to send us exactly. So we ended up going to just urgent care. And then urgent care was like, you don't need to come here. I don't know why they sent you here.
No.
So my question is there or will there be any sort of improvement as to infectious diseases and the public's knowledge of how to handle infectious diseases and how employers handle parents that are dealing with situations with their children having these infectious diseases?
I think it's a really interesting situation that you found yourself in. Definitely one that we're looking at addressing. I know public health is near and dear to the minister's heart, and we're looking at how to improve the services we currently have. So yes, it is on the agenda, and your point will be taken to help, solidify that in this new strategy.
That's great, because the issue we were in is we were left having to prove to our employers that we weren't contagious. And when we spent, I believe, 2 hours on a call with HSA, and only for them to come back and say, oh, we Googled it and you're fine. And I went, my employers isn't going to take that. So there was a bit, daunting situation. I actually had to go back to HSA, pay to be reviewed to get a letter that I was cleared so I can return back to work.
Wow.
So I ended up paying like 3 times the amount of money I would have liked to pay.
That's crazy. They said they Googled it. Wow, you could have done that yourself.
Yeah, I said that to her. I was like, I've been on the phone with you 2 hours and I could have Googled it, but my employers isn't going to take. I Googled it because I do understand my employer's position. They do have an obligation to protect the rest of the organization. But at the end of the day, how do I maneuver my situation when there's no protocol or guidance from the ministry itself as to how it should be dealt with?
Got it. Thank you so much, caller. Appreciate it. Dr. Google strikes again. Giselle says, make it mandatory for private practitioners to give back X amount of service time to community wellness and intervention programs if and when they are ... Not sure what else that said there, Giselle. Natasha says, let's stop prioritizing the money and focus on the people and their needs first. By the way, she says, thank you for the hard work that you're both putting into this and for listening to everyone. This is a tough job, and there is a system that essentially needs a complete overhaul. And this is a system that needs an overhaul. Electronic prescriptions are more secure than handwritten ones. Oh, I ignore Alexa. And can be sent directly to the pharmacy from the doctor. How we've yet again stepped back in time. It's kind of interesting that we're having this discussion about prescriptions this morning, because in case you guys missed it in the news yesterday, there actually was an announcement of 3 people being charged for using fake prescriptions to get opiates. The very thing, by the way, that they are trying to prevent from happening is what the CMO has said. This has happened. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I got a cynical question. I don't know if that's part of this discussion this morning. Can I ask it?
Sure. I mean, you can. I'm not sure if they'll be able to answer, but you can always ask.
If who's in charge? Like if a patient has to go overseas and everything, they're approved by Seneca to go overseas and everything. So who's the one responsible for, like, sometimes has to stay in these hotels and all of that? Who's responsible for overseeing that, like the facility that these people are staying in?
Guess, do you guys know, does Seneca
I mean, normally each person would have the case manager with Cynical. So normally there's someone that reaches out to you that says, and this is only from my personal experience, let me just say, I can't swear to Cynical's policies and procedures, but I know when I've had the situation before, my case managers reached out to me and said, this is your appointment. And then I booked my own hotel within the range of what they cover. And then we've submitted the reimbursement for it afterwards when we came back to pay for it. And so that's how it works in one way. I do know. And so, I don't know that they are going to come and inspect the place that you're actually staying at to say this is an approved place. I think it's more along the lines of this is the budget that you have for accommodations while you're in the US. And then normally it's in my experience, I had to get reimbursed for it after the fact. I don't know if that helps the caller any.
Well, sort of. It's it come in like there's something wrong, because in some cases, the Seneca actually provides a hotel for the people under the budget required. But what I'm saying, it's coming, and I noticed for a fact where some of the people are being sent to homeless shelters in the United States and dog shelters in the United States where pets and all that is allowed. I know someone that had that experience where the AC vents, it was like a homeless shelter that they were sent to by Seneca, and the vents and the whole place had smelled like mold, and that contributed to his more to his illness. So I'm just wondering if these places are being being inspected before they're sent there by Seneca, by the case management or someone overseeing the case.
No,
the case manager
people,
or whoever.
No, I think people, sort of pick their own accommodations, and it's up to them to pick something that's suitable.
That isn't always the case. I could guarantee you that.
There may be people that can't afford to pay ahead, and then maybe these arrangements are happening where they do pick them. I think the important thing would probably be to tell these people who've had these experiences to feed back to Cynical, because they probably wouldn't know the standard of the place. They're probably picking a facility that's close to the hospital that allows them to get to and from. Like normally they'd work with the hospital and say what accommodations are nearby to allow for easy access, and then approving that without necessarily knowing the standards. So I think anyone who's had a poor standard should feed back to the case manager, let them know that the situation they're staying in, so they can find a different accommodation, and also so they can ensure they don't use it in the future.
Okay, caller, thank you very much. We do have some other callers.
Yeah. Just one thing. I would think that was being done before. The places were being properly vetted and checked out before that happened. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank you so much, my dear. 936-2626. I see somebody was trying to call a number of times. Do call back. Just a reminder that we can't, if you're both calling straight line, we can put you on hold that way. But if one is a WhatsApp and one's a straight line, then we have to finish the WhatsApp call first and vice versa. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Oh,
hello.
Good morning.
Hi, morning.
Yeah, just on the topic that you got now, I'm at, and I find like I've been referred up to Health City, and the doctor at Health City will write out a prescription or whatever, or refer me to physiotherapy or something like that. And there seems to be a real disconnect between the communications between HSA and HCCI. And I don't, this has happened to me a few times over the past several years. And I don't know if that could be addressed. And one other thing is I'm actually on cynical coverage. And, I don't know why Cynical is set up like that, but you have to go into an HSA provider and then get referred elsewhere. I don't know why. Like, I live in East End, and for me it'd be very simple to go to HCCI up here, but no, I have to go to an HSA to get referred there, and I don't know why that is.
Okay.
So
thank you. Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
All right, appreciate it. 936-2626. Just trying to catch up on some comments. So about sex education, I'm a little bit surprised to see some of you thinking the way that you do. Scott says, how's that leaving it to the parents working in here in Cayman to date? Some of you are saying, yes, they're weirdos that are having inappropriate conversations. Okay. I mean, if there's a curriculum and people are teaching based on the curriculum, I'm not sure how weirdos get into it, but all right. The Eve Jones says, stop putting sexual education first. Little kids in school. Leave the kids alone. Wow. I'm a bit surprised, really, that you guys think sex education is grooming children. Lord Jesus, we have a long ways to go. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Good morning. First of all, I want to say congratulations to Felicia, we know as Fifi, because I haven't really officially sent her a little message, but I'm glad that she's in that post. She's one of her own, and she's quite capable. So congratulations to her.
Thank you.
Well, I have 2 points. I want to say I would love to see a better diabetic clinic, or I guess they call it a clinic, or organized clinics, especially when it comes to the education. And I think it starts maybe even from secondary school, and there's a lot of things that we need to know about diabetes. I know I suffer from it and has, lost 2 limbs. And I feel now, if I had known then what I know now, I would not be in this situation. I think a lot of us as local people, we don't understand. Yes, we eat good, but good don't necessarily mean it's the right things that we're eating. And lack of exercise, lack of this. So I would really love to see a unit in the hospital that will focus more on diabetes and prevention, education, and everything. And it starts from early. And yes, we as parents also have to take that on as our responsibility. As last point is the sexual education. Yes, it's different from when we were growing up. Yeah, we in almost 60s now. It's quite different, and kids learn differently now than when we were growing up. I could tell you this. Our parents wasn't open with us with sexual education. So a lot of things that I learned from my teacher at that time. Because number one, our parents, especially our mothers, sorry, they were young and they didn't know a lot. But thank goodness I went to school and it was a Christian school, and they had a way of teaching us, and it was very good, very very good. I mean, kids know more now than what we knew, even when we were adults and married. They know more now. But again, I think it's a way that we can teach them, or I think first of all it begins with trust, and teach them more of the morals of not having sex. That's a key thing. I think, if we just say, hey, you not go out there and have nothing, whatever. I know in my days, our grandparents and them used to say, don't make a boy touch you. We didn't even know what
What
a
that meant.
touch you mean, what we
Yes.
mean. So I'm not totally for it to be. It is I mean, not to be, because I think if it's done right, the kids will learn more. And like you said, or someone said earlier, a lot of our parents these days they don't care about it. They're kids themselves, and they're not really worried, because their first thing that tells them, look it up, look it up, look it up. So what's going to happen? So yes, and thanks to the hospital or HSA that's coming out to do these shows, and thanks again to you, Sandra, and CMR.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much, caller. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Couple quick things on, we might as well wrap this up, that came in on the topic of sex education. Wow, I didn't know that was such a hot debatable topic, but apparently it is. So Shaka Zulu says to the caller, there's something to be said for the education system introducing the subject to the kids. It's not as black and white as you're implying. Natasha goes on to say, stop shaming sex. Sex educators should have degrees in health and wellness. Obviously, the sex education ain't so great here, because you have a ton of children getting pregnant and who are abused as well. And it's not, the lack of sex education, to be clear, isn't just about unwanted pregnancies. There's a lot of other things that children and young people do not know about when it comes to their own personal health and wellness and hygiene and so on, that is part and parcel of a sex education conversation. So I know we're hyper focused on the pregnancy rate, but that's not the end all and be all.
And it's important for young people, for children to understand what a healthy relationship is. So it's not just about anatomy and puberty, although those things are important, but it's also about conversations around consent. Your body belongs to you, and ultimately at the end of the day, you have a decision on, who you let into your inner circle, and who you trust, and who you love, and the conversations around safeguarding children from abuse.
That's
and
right.
the fact that actually groomers might kind of exploit the fact that children aren't aware of consent.
That's
and
right.
don't have the vocabulary to say, well, actually no. So it can go two ways, kind of, but it's not just about anatomy.
Exactly.
It's about consent and healthy relationships.
Absolutely. And then the best way to protect children against predators is actually to educate them.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely right. Predators tend to exploit that lack of knowledge and information. In fact, there's a case now, we can't, divulge any names because there's a gag order in place, But there is a young lady who, she's a child, 13 years old, who is a victim. She's raped by this individual. And when they were interviewing her in the police interview, she didn't even know.
I'm 13 years old.
She had a hard time saying what happened to her because, again, at 13 years old, she didn't have any sex education. So when they were trying to ask her what happened, this poor little kid is sitting there clutching her blanket, totally unaware of, what her privates are actually called, like the proper term and stuff for it. So it's just, you do your children a disservice by keeping them uneducated on all topics. And, their own bodies, sex education is but one of many topics. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning, dear.
Congratulations to Felicia. I haven't seen her since her new position, but wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ideal topic that we're on. Well, I'm going to ask, this is Dorothy, I'm going to ask a question about dementia later on. However, I have two comments that I need to make in relation to pharmacy. One is when you are in A&E, for example, and it's late at night, the doctor has prescribed medication for you, the pharmacist closed. There's no way for you to get this medication. Now you're sick, that's the reason why you went to A&E. You can't probably drive the next morning to get the medication, or you need to start it the first morning, you need to take the medication, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think pharmacies should be, whether it's a satellite pharmacy or something, should be open for you to get medication at late hours. And I think that's how it was many years ago, when you were able to get at least 2 or 3 tablets from A&E prior to being discharged. The second one is when you're, like, for example, you're in A&E and the pharmacy is still open. I wasn't aware that you have to actually, and the doctor has prescribed your medication online. You have to physically go to the pharmacy, stand there, wait there for over an hour. I was waiting to get, when I got to the counter, I said, I'm here to pick up my medication. I was just discharged from A&E. They said, oh, no, you have to wait now another 45 minutes because you are supposed to go there physically and tell them that that the doctor has prescribed your medication for you, rather than you just going there to collect it. There's not someone looking on online scripts that are coming in. So those are two things. And when you're sick, that's the last thing you want to hear.
Yes, of course.
And there were a number of people there waiting and saying, they just had like surgery, minor surgery, and they were waiting for their medication. They're in the car waiting and so forth. The last thing is in relation to dementia patients being admitted into hospital. Now they're confused and so forth, and they're not able to talk for themselves, many of them. And in this case, this is someone just called me this weekend to make this complaint. Say the husband was admitted into hospital after a fall. He was in critical care and then went down to I think medical ward. The food lunch for him was delivered and left there until when she got there. That must have been 4 hours. His lunch was still sitting there and nobody had, but she's not able to stay with him, like all the time. And she wanted to stay now after she saw what happened. She wanted to actually stay the night and they refused. Now, again, when my mom was in hospital, she had surgery. We were able to stay before she passed away, of course. We were able to stay there because she's not able to ask questions. The food comes and it's dementia. So you're not acting yourself. I mean, I don't want to go into the whole dementia spiel, but you're not acting yourself. But Felicia know what I'm talking about. You're not acting yourself and so forth. So you can't make these decisions, or they come and ask you, oh, well, do you have this or do you have that? What are you allergic to and so forth. And the last thing, which I think I need to go to the community meetings, is in the strategy, is a dementia plan going to be? And now this is something that's going on with the ministry. I've been presented to the ministry, and I know the ministry. I mean, hats off to Minister Turner. she need another 12 years because she has done a phenomenal job while she's there. However, the dementia plan needs to be looked at, and this is something I can speak to Felicia after, because I think it needs to be written into a strategy. The Alzheimer's Association funded 3 medical doctors, a pharmacist, a mental health nurse, and a community nurse years ago to go to Miami to do training with one of their dementia experts over there. She's a doctor, a lecturer at the hospital, has her own clinic and everything. And they shadowed her. And 2 or 3 of those doctors are still very, still do quite a bit and, refer patients to ask for support and so forth. However, the hospital dropped, I would say someone dropped the ball where it came in to setting up these clinics for persons with dementia, and we're seeing younger people with dementia now. They're no longer starting at 16 something. We have 30 something, 40 something, 60, 50 something, those people. And they're going, a lot of them are going to what do you call it, the private hospitals, but now because they need extra care and the wives are no longer working or they can't work and so forth because they're taking care of them. They fall on the cynical. Some of them are indigents and so forth. So that is something that we need to speak about, a dementia plan, because the numbers are increasing. And and I don't know what the numbers are because the way the data is collected, I don't know when we will know, but at some point we will know what the numbers are. But every week I hear of someone else is diagnosed. This one is diagnosed, that one is diagnosed, and so forth. And I am scared that they're under 65. Okay, so those are my comments. But
thank you so much,
Felicia. Okay, thank you, and again, wonderful job, Felicia, and the other lady. Sorry, I didn't get it, and thank you, Sandra, for this. This is very important having them on this morning.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. So definitely a lot to unpack there. Let's go through a few more comments. As Pat says, please consider including effective parenting as part of the prenatal clinic for both parents with each child. Of course, people have to attend those classes. There is something in place. Cynical also needs to audit their billing to ensure that they're not overcharged. All of the government needs to do this, says Natasha. More legislation required for insurance companies. Good morning, caller.
Hi, morning, Sunday.
Morning, dear. How are you?
I'm okay.
Lavana, I think this, you obviously didn't call in yesterday, but on behalf of all of our listeners to the program, we wanted to extend our sincere condolences to you and your entire family on the loss of Mr. Lewis, your father. We're very, very sorry to hear about that yesterday.
Yeah, thank you. That's why I didn't really want to call because my heart is so heavy, But anyway, what I was calling for is for the hospital. I just wanted to say this to you guys, please, because the doctors, his neurologist thought it was a good idea. My dad was diagnosed with ALS about 5 weeks ago. And my dad I was in and out the hospital with dad. They didn't know what it was. They kept checking dad for cancers, and he kept telling them he just tired for no reason, just even drinking water. My dad was tired. My dad had no pain whatsoever, thank the Lord. No pain, nothing, just was tired. Dad went through all 3 hospitals here in Cayman, and his appetite went, he started to lose a lot of weight. Again, just kept focusing on cancer. My dad died Tuesday with no cancer at all in his entire body. Again, he was diagnosed with ALS. The reason I'm saying this is when he was diagnosed, Dad is 80 years old, almost 81. July would have been 81. And when he was diagnosed, we came home. Pretty much tell us to come home, whatever, make him comfortable and stuff like that. And Dad was still good spirits and everything. But obviously it's a respiratory thing. It talks to the nerves and the muscles. So it obviously was, in his chest area. So we came out. He went back to the hospital because when he couldn't breathe, he got nervous and said, "Take me back to the hospital." So I did that. The reason I'm saying this is to you guys on the panel is we got to the hospital. Mind you, he was already diagnosed. This is a rare disease. And it was so frustrating. Even him, he got frustrated because I had to then go over the whole history of my daughter just for them. And mind you, he was in and out. This is a rare disease. This should have been something that was flashing on when you pull up Louis Christian. It should have been something flashing on that screen to say that he has this rare disease, ALS. That is something that should have just been there. Nobody should have to go back in there and go and repeat the same thing over and over and over. It was so frustrating for me to have to keep repeating to them, telling them, this is what it is. I said, I don't understand. Why my dad was just diagnosed though? Why is it not under his name, under his file, whatever you have there on the computer? Every time I come in here, I have to keep telling you guys the same thing over and over, and he's here trying to breathe. I said, just tend to my father. But why is it that I got to keep telling you guys he's not new to coming in here? When I said it to his doctors, they said, oh my gosh, that is really a good idea. Maybe we could speak to our IT department. Like, really? I mean, I'm glad that I could say it and for them to recognize it, but I'm saying it to you all here. My dad is gone, and of course, I feel bad, but I feel okay because he wasn't in OP. He was comfortable, and I was there from the beginning to the end with my daughter. But I just think nobody shouldn't have to go back over that again. Like I said, I could see he trying to breathe, right? And he even said, why she got keep saying this? He got frustrated, and I said it. I just saying this just to say to you guys, just put something there, especially for persons that are diagnosed with a disease or a rare disease. This is rare. I don't know how my dad could get this at 80 years old, but I'm glad that we found out what it was, and for him to, go through the process. My dad transitioned, went into his transition, and I prayed. I didn't pray. I didn't physically pray, but I kept saying it to family members. I said it to my co-workers. What is the word I'm looking for? I spoke it into existence. I kept saying, what I would like for my daughter is for him to just go sleep and don't wake up. And that is exactly what happened with my daughter. My daughter went to sleep from Sunday. He slept all day Monday, and I thought it was strange. Called the doctor and nurse came, and they came and they double-checked him Tuesday morning, and they say, yes, he's now into deep sleep. He's transitioning. He will just sleep until he goes off. As bad as I felt, and as bad as I still feel, I am okay to know that he went off good. And he went off peacefully, and I was right there with him. And, I just saying, please, guys, just put something out there so the next person will have to go through it. And the doctors thought it was a good idea. They would have checked with the IT department. Okay, go ahead and do it for the next person that's coming in behind me or behind my daughter. You understand?
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say. I wasn't even going to call in. But I just say I had to say it.
Thank you so much.
And I know you're not gonna say anything else about emergency air because that's another story. But I over that now. So my dad is now at peace.
Thank you, my dear.
And thank you, Sandra. Thank you very much. And thank you all you guys for sending the condolences and stuff. I thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lavon.
Thank you, caller, for putting in that, so being so vulnerable and sharing that story. I think your story, it speaks leaps and bounds as things that we can do, small things we can do to make patient experiences better. I know it's at the top of priority of HSA, so I will ensure that they also have that comment if they haven't watched and listened, because I think like Doctor said, it would be a great suggestion, because when people are in those situations and they're stressed, the last thing they want to do is have to go through all of that in detail. At least, like it says, until the patient's comfortable, then maybe they could ask for more information. But Great suggestions. So sorry for your loss, and thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, and thank you too. And yeah, like I said, if it's something when they pull up the person's name, and it's just something they're flashing in red, or put even an alert something and put what it is, so that way they know exactly why the person is there, what they have to do when the person come in, etc. They don't have to, like I said, keep going over it. It was so frustrating. And then the hurtful part about it, Miss Felicia, is when this last time that Dad went in, when he was having the breathing issues, the doctor could roll his eyes, and I was like, you didn't just roll your eyes, because he could see that I was frustrated. I was like, why am I repeating this though? And he like roll his eyes, instead of like really, that type of, he won't have attitude. And I was like, this is not the time, but do not even try it. I am a very calm, I don't even know. I'm okay, but do not even try that. And it worse that he was a medical professional, and he will have an attitude. And I was like, I not saying anything else there, because I could see you. Yeah, this not gonna be good right now. My daughter, this is about my daughter right now.
Yeah, we understand.
Yeah, that was so
emotional.
unprofessional for him. I could see he was getting out of have to, because I was frustrated. I even said to him, I say, you know what, sir, I'm sorry. I had to be the bigger person and say, you know what, I'm sorry, because this isn't about my daughter right now. Excuse me the way that I am also speaking to you, because I am just frustrated, and you could see my daughter is frustrated.
Wow.
Yeah, that was another story. So anyway,
thank you, caller.
I got that off of my chest, because it was really heavy on the chest. Now my chest feel a little bit lighter.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Thank you, my darling.
You have a good day. All right.
Thanks. You too.
I'm Sharon.
All right, my dear. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think, healthcare professionals, they have a tough job, obviously. They're there every day and they see all sorts of types of patients, whatever. But I think that they have to remember that a lot of times the patients and their caregivers, this is maybe their first experience with, a life-altering illness, or at 80 years old, finding out that you have ALS and having to deal with that prognosis. And, I understand the concept of being frustrated about just trying to see different healthcare professionals and have to be very, very repetitive. We have computerized systems that should eliminate that completely. But thank you so much, Lavana, for sharing that and for just being so incredibly vulnerable, this morning as well. It's very tough, but thank you. Going back to sex education, Natasha says it doesn't work and it's completely unrealistic to leave it completely up to the parents. Ms. Celine says, back in my day, the message of absence was the thing. It became a campaign in schools, community, and on TV. They need to do something like that here, put it out there. I think you need to ask yourself if it really works. It's not about putting the messaging out there, but does it work? You know what is so interesting? I don't know why we have mystified like sex education and stuff, but I've spoken to some of my aunts and some elders, like they're in their 70s now. And when they were even when they were adults and getting married, like they didn't engage in anything before, they didn't even know anything about it at all. And I would say to her, well, how did you, I started to ask questions, like probative questions. Well, how did you know what to do? And this and that. She's like, well, if you had an older sister, maybe depending on the relationship with your sister might have told you some stuff, but then she was limited based on what she knew, maybe by experience, or, it's just so weird to me that we're kind of still in that mindset, that era of like, put our heads in the sand and just pretend that it doesn't exist. Natasha said, would you rather kids think that porn is how real life relationships and sex work? Religion and sex shouldn't have anything to do with each other when it comes to actual education about health and safety. Krista says sex education is very important. It's not just about having sex, it's about the understanding the basic anatomy, puberty, and general changes your body experiences as you get older, which certainly should be taught. Sandra is right. A lot of teens discuss sex and get advice from their peers, which is often inaccurate. Teaching about sex should not be a taboo, and relationships as well, because so many of our young girls in particular are being subjected to abusive relationships control and, sexually abusive relationships and so on, and psychologically abusive relationships. And they don't even know as teenagers that this isn't right and this isn't normal. So Natasha shares, as someone who was raped as a child, I can tell you how important real and proper sex education is. It teaches children what a wrong touch is and how to set boundaries for themselves. And this enables them to advocate much better for themselves and be able to speak up with more confidence if something is wrong. This in turn can help to prevent their actual predators from continually abusing children. And of course, thank you so much, Natasha, for sharing that. She also supports home births. She says, let's legalize home births. Is it illegal? I didn't know that it was, but she said, let's legalize it. Expanding maternity and paternity benefits with full pay the whole time. 2, we live in a country that used to value family and community, but our laws essentially penalize you for having and starting a family. Well, Natasha, to be clear, it's not just the laws that penalize you, but as women, we've talked about this on the show before, you are at a distinct disadvantage when you have children in the workplace. Your career is taken a step backwards. Your job prospects, your salary, everything takes a real step backwards, unfortunately, because we're the ones giving birth. Our husbands and male counterparts, their lives continue like normal in terms of their professional trajectory, and it doesn't change very much for them, which is a sad indictment, not just on us in this country, and it's not just legislation, but it's just the way people think about childbearing. I know employers who are women who terminate people once they find out that they're pregnant. I mean, this is the kind of, injustices and prejudices that are still very much happening in our communities. Scott,
encourage people.
Yes.
Sorry, Sandra. Can I just encourage people to report that up, because that's that shouldn't be happening. So I would just encourage people to.
Just curious though, but who do we report it to, and who's doing something about it?
So we have a gender appeals tribunal, I think, and they deal with issues in the workplace around gender inequality. And so, we're protected, and pregnancy is we're protected for that. So I would just encourage people to escalate that and report that.
Okay. I mean, sometimes it's hard to prove, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to come out and say it. You know what I mean? All right. Caller, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Yeah. Hi, Sandy.
Morning.
Oh, hi. I wasn't sure if it was me. Yeah, sorry that I'm calling back, but there's a very, very important and critical discussion that's been happening surrounding our children here. And I think I heard it was stated that parents should not be the ones who educate their children.
I don't think people said that. I think what was said is a lot of parents are not equipped to do so, nor do a lot of parents want to do so.
Well, that kind of lends to what I'm about to say, because parents who don't feel equipped to do so or don't know how to do so should not really have children in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the very basic problems we have, is that people take sex for sports. They take it for some entertainment. They have no idea the value and even the premise of what sex is. But let me build a foundation. I'm going to share something with you about the concern that's growing around the world. And it's where schools are taking a position. Really, it's governments taking a position pushed by the, I think it's the World Health Organization. I can't remember the group. It's within the United Nations. And it has to do with training children, sexual education. And what many parents don't know is that schools, mostly public, but also private schools, have adopted this United Nations education. I have the documentation. I have a whole research on this, because these are things that I'm also concerned about, is what's happening to our children and the exposure, the inappropriate exposure. And so what they're doing in the US and in Europe and other places, and they're bringing this education to children where as young as 6, 7, 8 years old, they're teaching children about condoms and prophylactics and how to put on condoms and a male erection. And there's so many reports that are coming out now that parents are learning of these things, not through the school system, but through the conversation with their children. And they become quite alarmed, and rightfully so, that the schools dare touch this subject at such an age that the school feels is appropriate to tell children how to appropriately touch the opposite gender or the same gender, when and what to expect when you touch them. This is in no way appropriate or the position of any government, statutory body, or private entity to get into that space of introducing a subject that children are in no way psychologically capable of processing the importance of what they're being taught. And so what's happening is that they say that with this information, you've got to be prepared to have access to condoms. Now, do you know what that does to a child who enters this conversation? They have to be focusing on so many other things, their education primarily, that they should not be worried about this young lady looking a certain way or this young man looking a certain way. And now that I've studied this in my class yesterday, what does it look like potentially? And these things are entered into their minds. And let me give you a backdrop about my personal family backdrop with my children. I have 2 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
My first daughter, she did not get a smartphone until she was 17, just before she got her driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't. There was no need for that. She had a very basic analog phone, and if she needed to reach us, well, or if we needed to reach her, we had that opportunity. So one of the challenges we're seeing is that parents are gifting these instruments to their children, which they have no proper supervision. Majority of them, some of them do, but they have no proper supervision over their children's whereabouts, their traffic, their engagement, the people that is soliciting them on these social media platforms, and even education platforms, and even gaming platforms. And so children are being bombarded left, right, and every direction, and they're being introduced into a world that has so many ramifications. So when we started with our first daughter, I think she was about 8 or 9. We started talking about inappropriate behaviors from persons, males and females, even family members and friends and whoever. She was taught that there are certain behaviors that is not appropriate even with family members. And that she was even taught that there are certain behaviors that are not appropriate from me as her father, nor from her mother. So there was
Can I
that was
ask you a question about this as a father? I mean, 8 or 9, you do know that in the larger scope of things, that's a little bit late, because there are children who are much younger than that. So
I know. Oh, I know.
You know,
I know.
unfortunately. So I think that things need to be there's an appropriateness, and material and discussions need to be age appropriate, right?
Yes,
so
of course.
From my daughter was a toddler, I was saying to her, I want you to learn how to bathe yourself, because I don't want to have to do that, and nobody else should be bathing you, and nobody else should be touching your private parts.
Amen.
And I would tell
for
her
saying that, Sandra.
what constituted her private parts. And I said, in fact, your entire body is private. And if you don't want somebody
It's
touching
sacred.
your arm, or you don't want to give someone a hug, you can set those boundaries. You can say no. And that's
That is
for
so important what
anybody,
you just said.
So
That
I
is so
think from
important.
day one, and when obviously children have to understand language to be able to get these concepts, I think we need to have age appropriate conversations with them. And
that is so true.
8 or 9 is kind of late. I mean, I'm glad you had it at 8 or 9.
No.
But
Since you said that, let me explain that, because I think you're misunderstanding, but you're so spot on. So let me go back a little further then, because the conversation about sexuality, we brought in about 7 or 8, right? But as far as what's appropriate, so for me as a father, of course, when my child was a baby and I was there, taking care of her and different things that I had to do. But there was a time, and I think she was perhaps about 2, that I had to separate that function. I had to separate certain things that I could no longer do. And she needed to understand there's boundaries. So you're right, you're spot on. What is age appropriate? And this is important for mothers as well, because there's a time when children who have not exposure of certain sexual activities, that they should not see certain things, even with their parents, because it conjures up thoughts and questions, but which we still have to answer for them. But there's certain behaviors even in the home. So I'm sharing this with you, Sandra. When I hear people saying that some parents should not have, that it's a huge responsibility for us to we know our children, we know their capabilities, their mental scope, and so we've got to introduce. I'm gonna just touch this and I'm gonna leave because I don't want to take up too much time. The very fact of just I think it was this past weekend, I was sharing with my family doing worship time, family worship time. We do studies on different things, and I share with my daughters and my wife. One of the things we were discussing as a family was courting versus dating. And here's one of the foundations that me personally, how I, with my family. So we're talking about the difference between courting versus dating. Now today, courting is a joke. It's comical if you said that. But the fact is, when children are in school, they should not be pressured about whose boyfriend or girlfriend that is. They should never have that pressure of an obligation of somebody else's property when they have no true concept what the obligation really is. They should never be pressured into that direction, right? So one of the things we were sharing during family worship was courtship versus dating. And the very fact that you touch someone, people may not understand this, but listen, our body is an electrical current. We have static electricity. And the very fact when a mother has a child, she cradles that child, she's immediately bonding with that static electricity. The child understands the heartbeat of the parent, of the mother, and there's a strong connection. And the same principle happens when you touch a person's just their hand. There's a current that goes through from you to that person, and it stimulates that person. The very innocent touch of just a hand touch, let alone rubbing someone's shoulder or rubbing someone's neck. People don't understand the science that happens biologically and physiologically in the body when you start touching. Hence is why people get aroused. So people need to understand, you need to have conversations what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. And it's not the responsibility of a government nor a private entity. If you had time to have a child, you must make time in the face and the presence of God to raise that child up in the way God has charged you.
Okay.
Sonia, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. We know that Lauren's laptop battery is about to die. So I know the conversation has extended quite a bit and we kind of veered off topic. Again, our guests are here. Thank you so much for Lauren. She's going to grab her charger and then that'll allow us an opportunity to wrap things up. So the conversation continues, folks. Obviously, this is a very serious exercise, trying to develop the national health strategy, the policy. And through that is, your involvement, your comments, lots of comments came through today, lots of phone calls. Again, the primary question are what are some of the main issues relating to health and wellness in the Cayman Islands? So your feedback can be received after the show by contacting the ministry directly. So encourage you to do just that. Scott says it's we'll talk about that because it's a little bit off topic, but there was
can I just add, going, while we're very grateful for all the feedback, it's very helpful. Just wanted to remind our public that, this policy is from that broader guidance for a document for the national level. And that while HSA feedback is very, very helpful, the ministry doesn't have direct oversight of the processes within HSA. Our best bet is to then relay what was been said today to them to help them inform their current their practices in that regard. But like we said, they're just one provider, so it's still very helpful because it's one of the main providers on our islands for healthcare. So all the comments are very, very welcomed and appreciated. But just in case anyone thought we could actually make something happen in HSA, just wanted to remind them that we don't deal with their processes. We're just the overarching is what we're looking at. And then I also wanted to back to that labor board kind of thing with parental rights and stuff. They sent to us basically remind people they can send it to the Department of Labor and Pension is where those kind of things with another avenue for sending in comments in regards to paternity laws and that kind of things that could be looked at and addressed. And then in regards to the topic that's become the buzz topic today, which is sex education and parents not maybe necessarily being equipped. The Family Resource Center does offer Talk Early, Talk Often parenting programs that are free for parents to take advantage of if they want to learn more about how to have this conversation with their kids. Just some couple of things that Caroline, our comms person, has been sending to us. I just wanted to touch on them and give them that information.
Yep. Thank you so much. So community meetings coming out. One member of the public, I think it was Ms. Bonnie, was asking, why is there no meeting in East End? Do you have any thoughts of expanding the meetings that you have planned thus far?
So I just sent to one of my people that if there is a requirement for us to do one in East End, we'd be more than happy to add it. We do have the bandwidth to do one in East End. We weren't sure. We've had, I think with the STEPS program, the public meetings weren't so well taken and people didn't show up. So we weren't sure how much people wanted to do, and we didn't want to plan them and have 2 people attend. So we didn't add that into our schedule. But if they are interested, please feel free to WhatsApp, call us, let us know. We'll be happy to do one in East End. Also bear in mind, there is also the virtual one that we're going to do. That means people don't need to leave their house. If they have access to the internet, they could join onto the virtual one. Lauren, when's the virtual one again? What's the date for the virtual one?
It is Tuesday, the 21st of May, 1 o'clock. So we'll put all these details up on our website. And if you also want to email in, it's mohfeedback@gov.ky. And we've got WhatsApp as well, which is 9364969. So we would encourage everyone to get in contact.
Sorry, Lauren, can I actually get you to flip your mic down?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it might help if you were actually hearing through that microphone there. Yes. Hi.
Hi. Did you want me to repeat it?
Yes, that would be fantastic.
Okay, sorry everyone, sorry. So the virtual town hall is happening on Tuesday, the 21st of May at 1 o'clock. If you want to email at mohfeedback.gov.ky, or you can use WhatsApp, which is 9364969. But don't feel like you have to try and get this down now. It's on our website. So please check our webpage for more information and fill out the public survey as well, please.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fantastic. So again, we want to really thank both of these ladies for coming on the program today. We had Miss Felicia McLean, the Chief Nursing Officer in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and Senior Policy Advisor, Miss Lauren Strenton, who joined us this morning, trying to get some basically on-air consultation. And you guys, you did well. You did well, students. I'm very, very proud of you. You showed up and you participated. Most of you understood the exercise. Really just trying to get some feedback on what will become the national health policy document for the Cayman Islands. So again, the detailed complaints might be helpful, but it was more of like they will deal with policy, the broader elements of formulating that. So I'm sure they got a lot of comments from what you guys got, lots of points, I should say, from the comments that you've made, from the calls, from your messages. I wonder if we could just read a few more, because I think I had a few more in the queue. That came in on WhatsApp. So let's just do those really quickly. We'll run through those. So this person says, why does it take from March the 26th to April 16th to send a disc to another hospital that a doctor requested? But that's what HSA did. It's a good thing that the doctor didn't wait on them and went ahead and got their own diagnosis. So maybe communication, the broader pictures there is communication between medical facilities, how to facilitate that being maybe a lot quicker and more streamlined. This one says lack of menopausal support, lack of geriatric health and wellness programs and activities, lack of or very poor sex education in schools, lack of good, solid nutritional education, and plain old-fashioned domestic science classes. Absolutely no mental health care education, not enough, young counselors, mental health professionals, too much stigma around mental health issues, and not enough education or support around sexual abuse. So some really good ones coming out of that comment. Thank you to the listener. Can we also talk about the circus of a process when HSA doesn't get a medication available for a Cineco patient? Off to another pharmacy, out of pocket, fill out lengthy claim form, and also require out of stock letter from HSA. In 2024, there has to be a better way. This again speaks to the incestuous relationship between the healthcare provider and the insurance provider, which should not exist. Another person says the reality of the situation in the world that we live in is our children will be exposed, whether we want to accept it or not. As a mother of teenagers, I can attest to the fact that my children were exposed to things of a sexual nature by other children their age. Teaching sexual education should be done in context and age appropriate, and it should be done in stages and according to what the child understands. So that parent in favor of it. This one, a comment regarding the new health strategy, more wellness options need to be added to the health insurance policies, expanded birth and postpartum services for moms to be and their families, like doula services and so on. So there you go. Some very, very good suggestions. So thank you, ladies, so much for joining us this morning. And hopefully you've got some food for thought to take away.
No, thank you so much for having us, and lots of food for thought for sure. I'm just going to reiterate what Lauren said. While we're very grateful for all these comments because it's a public consultation period, there is still the survey link that each person can click on that link from our website and answer more specific question as to how they feel about it. Is it something they do well, something we don't do so well, something we never see happen? And then they can also type in questions there. So we encourage them to do the survey and then share it with their friends and family, have them do it. The more people we have, the better our data will be that will provide, that will allow us to really make a really amazing policy.
Yep.
And you'll have until the 31st of May. So that closes off at the end of the month. So
yes,
please.
Okay. And I'll put the link here. You guys can click on that link. So again,
thank you.
Ways in which you can contact them. WhatsApp 936-4969. Email mohfeedback@gov.ky. Social media handle @Ministry Health Cayman Islands. Consultation website is gov.ky/health-wellness. Very good.
Perfect. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, folks. So there you go. Lots of food for thought. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you all for participating. Really appreciate that. Let's take a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back for the last 15 minutes of the program.
CMR has reached an incredible milestone of having the #1 talk show and being the people's #1 choice for news. We would like to wholeheartedly thank you, our loyal listeners and followers, for making this possible. This is going to be an amazing year of continued growth and acceleration, and we would like for you to be a part of the journey. If you have a company that's struggling to reach your targeted customer base, why not reach out to CMR's sales team? With over 200,000 followers on both Instagram and Facebook, your message will be more impactful by advertising with us. Speak to a sales specialist today about all of the ways in which we can help you elevate your game to the next level. Email us on sales@CaymanMarlRoad.com or call 324-1612 for a consultative meeting.
All right, okie dokie, Smokey. Class is back in session. Y'all doing good? Somebody says, was teaching. Okay, so this person says, listening to the program, the children are already exposed, Sandra. If I share with you some of the questions I've gotten from children as young as year 7, which is 11-year-olds, it's clear that they're exposed. Sex education is about balancing that exposure with education. For example, I teach them about how to recognize the signs of grooming and what they need to do. They feel uncomfortable. If they feel uncomfortable and unsafe, this is part of sex education. What does consent look like? Very good. Yeah, we have a lot of room to go. And to that last caller's point, I mean, I understand the point of him saying, you know, I wish I had a magic wand and to say, those of you who are poor parents and who don't do a good job at not just sex education, but education in general, you're not there for your children emotionally. None of you should be parents, truth be known, because you're just not ready. So if I had my little magic wand, I would say, ploops, and all of your children would go back to being unborn. But unfortunately, in the real world, God knows it's not that easy, right? So we have to continually, where there's a slackness occurring in one section, yes, parents shouldn't be parents if they're not ready to have the discussions around these things. but they're doing it anyway because a lot of them are just doing what they know. So they're coming from multiple generations of people doing the exact same thing over and over again that didn't work for them, but because that's all that they know, they don't even know that it didn't work for them. You know what I mean? And so at some point, the community naturally has to pick up the slack. That means education in schools, education in churches and youth groups. And there's lots of opportunities for people to step up to the plate and make this information available to children. I know I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to take this opportunity and say it again. There was funding available from the UK government provided to really teach preventative topics around sexual education when it comes to what's safe touch and what isn't in the schools. And because of the religious structure in this country, in other words, because so many of our schools are tied into churches and tied into that religious infrastructure, they're the biggest groups that said, no, we don't want this knowledge of information being passed on to our children at all. Although it was going to be taught in part, the curriculum was going to be based on protecting children, their own safety, when to call it for help, when to tell someone if you've been inappropriately touched, what does inappropriate touch look like? All of these things, it would have been age-appropriate material. The church-based, faith-based educational institutions in this country said no, they did not want that curriculum in their schools. And to me, that's a little bit disappointing and a little bit shocking. It can be done in an appropriate way and they don't care. They just don't want it. And so we keep our children ignorant unless the parents are doing it. We keep them ignorant, and ignorance it's not bliss. Ignorance is very dangerous, in fact. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Not bad. How you doing?
Okay, thanks. This is the person who called some time back until it was my first calling, and this is my second.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
So, you're welcome. Interesting topic. I'm not even going to get into any of the discussion. I just want to say, Miss Felicia.
She's since left the studio, but she'll hear it, I'm sure.
Oh, she left?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. No matter what she does or what post she holds, for me, she will always be Jason's nurse. That's my son. Had an emergency appendectomy. It's 25 years ago now.
Wow.
And everybody was really good. But Miss Felicia, her role was really crucial. Of course, they worked as a team. And I meant to say that to her and congratulate her. So, for me, she's Jason's nurse.
We will make sure she hears this message.
Yeah, Miss Sandy, all the best to you and lots of interesting
Thank you so much.
discussion. Of course, I'm not going to get into all of that. I just wanted to say that. So I wish you and your family and everybody all the best.
Thank you.
And encourage us to do our best, walk with the Lord, and help him to help us to help people. End of sermon.
Appreciate it.
Happy
Thank
Mother's
you.
Day. Happy Mother's
yes.
Day to you and
Yes,
everybody.
that's coming up. Yes. Thank you so much. And same to you.
You're welcome. Bye.
All
Thank
right, my
you.
dear. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Thank you, caller. So Miss Bonnie, again, if you guys want more community meetings, you have to show up. So they said, listen, if there's a demand for it, they will definitely show up. But, it's a waste of government resources and people's time and everything else to have these meetings just to say we're having meetings and then nobody shows up to the meetings. Trust me, we see it all the time. So, if it's more effective to have a platform like this, where you've got 500-600 people or more listening and live, and then people can go back and watch it, then that makes more sense, right? That's a better use of people's resources and times, quite frankly. So the HSA seems to have a lot of complaints around, Vinicia, thanks for sharing this, around having to wait on medication, like after having surgeries and procedures and stuff. I know that they're listening, and I'm sure that they'll take this on board. I'm not aware of when this has changed or what has changed, but what I do know is clearly, that doesn't make any sense. So that's something that they have to revisit with a view to somehow fixing that. I don't know if this is actually a procedural change, that has occurred. But yeah. Interesting. Pretty crazy. All right. So, yeah. So that's something that can probably be relatively easily fixed. So Ms. Barbara, on the topic of sex education, says sex education is necessary as many parents are not equipped to speak openly about it, as they themselves were taught that it was taboo until a certain age. These days, the kids are already having sex by the time the parents are ready to talk with them. I'm telling you, I'm surprised at how contextually it used to be that somebody could get married and had no concept of, even how a baby came into this world. It was like, really? Wow. So, we can't keep our kids dumb in any sense of the word. The more you teach them, the more they're aware of pitfalls out there and the things to avoid. And, yeah. Natasha says you're talking about abstinence until marriage. It's proven that preaching abstinence to kids doesn't work. Kids are going to have sex. Let's make sure it's safe and they know how to consent and decide for themselves if they're ready. Sex needs to stop being shamed, especially for females. It's sexist and ignorant. Shaka Zulu says Cayman's healthy eating is about just a few things: reducing sugars, reducing quantities, and avoiding packaged food. Eat closer to farm to table and less processed foods. Focus on nutritional density. Thank you, Shaka. Giselle was saying make it mandatory for private practitioners to give back. I think I read this one already. So a bit of a volunteerism system in place there. Interesting. Looks like Miss Sue and Miss Irvlin are getting into a little back and forth in class. All right, honey, chillin'. Let's remember to be respectful of everybody. Everybody can have their opinion. They're entitled to it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree, but they're entitled to it. So sometimes you just, sometimes the best thing to do is just to let people have their opinion. Don't say nothing else. Even sometimes as the host of this program, I do that. I don't know how many of y'all pick up on it, but there are times when you will see me here. It doesn't mean that I'm agreeing with someone. I think some of you kind of get a little bit confused by that. Sometimes there are people here having something to say and I remain awfully quiet. I don't agree with what they're saying at all, but I just want them to get it out because they have a need to say what they have to say. So I'm going to give them the space to say it. And then we can talk about it later or we can not talk about it. Because sometimes I don't acknowledge, there are times when I feel like I can't acknowledge a certain degree of nonsense. You know what I mean? So if I hear something, I'm like, I acknowledge this, I give this even more life. But then on the other hand, there are times when you know that people are listening and people are believing it. So it's also my job in my case to address it and say, hold on, that's not exactly what the facts say or what they represent. So it's a give and take, folks. Life is a big give and take. What can I tell you? That's just how it works. Okay. Let me just see. We'll do a few little, about 5 minutes left in the program. We'll do a few little news headlines, what's trending. So, here in Cayman, again, we see this very, very interesting case where these individuals were charged. This is the early stages of it. Obviously, we're going to have to wait and see what happens from here. But 3 people charged with using fake prescriptions to get opiates. It's a very interesting case. I'd like to know more about how they were doing it and what the allegations are. But as the case progresses, undoubtedly, we will get more of that information. Another visitor has died while snorkeling. Somebody mentioned to me yesterday, is this a case of insurance fraud or, there's too many people dying in Cayman? And they said that some years ago, there was somebody investigating the number of deaths. Oh, they said, I heard years ago that the FBI had come to the Cayman Islands to investigate the many fatalities, i.e. disappearances, deaths on sea and on land. I heard they were investigating insurance frauds. I can recall that from my memory, things did seem to slow down, but I feel this is getting to be unrealistic. In my opinion, Cayman is a good place to commit a crime. Just saying, it is looking bad on us. I don't think that any crimes are being committed here. I don't even think it's insurance fraud. I think what's going on is people just die every day. People die. Young people die. Old people die. People who don't take care of themselves die. And one of the most interesting things about vacations is you tend to overexert yourself. So you're doing things that you don't normally do when you're home. So getting in the ocean and snorkeling and swimming and, all this kind of stuff, you're overexerting yourself. Your poor little tickety tick is like, "Ooh, honey child, I'm not used to this activity." And you have a heart attack. You go in the water and you haven't used snorkeling gear in a while and you don't really know how to use snorkeling gear even, water gets in your lungs and you drown because it doesn't take very much water to get in your lungs for you to drown. So these things happen. I think our visitors need to just be more careful, especially around water sports and water activities. It's not unheard of that people will get into serious trouble. And so, you just got to be careful. At least somebody said, well, at least they die being in a good mood while on vacation. I'm not sure if that helps much. But there's a real risk to engaging in water sports activities. And especially when you're of a particular age, as you'll see, most of these people tend to be, 55, 60, older, where cardiac events are not uncommon at all. Mm-hmm. So take it easy. You're going on vacation, maybe work up to it. Start walking months before. Do your executive health checkup before you go on vacation. See if there's anything that you really need to be on the lookout for. But yes, when death comes a knocking, it honestly doesn't care if you're on vacation or anything else. It kind of is what it is. So take your time, folks. Take your time. Oh my goodness, excuse me. What a hot mess. Miss Hilda says it is worth having a segment on the show with the Department of Family Services about how parents could approach talking to their kids about sex, the same format as the health talks on Tuesday. Okay. I mean, they can certainly do that. Not a bad suggestion, Miss Hilda. Everton says they're on vacation, so they have a good time. So it could be alcohol in their body, and I could have been drunk. So people should make sure they're not under the influence before they go out snorkeling. It's possible that they could be a problem why they're having so many issues with people drowning. Maybe alcohol plays a part in it. I don't think it's necessarily a major role. So yes. Might be. I don't know. Somebody said lifeguards. Time for us to get some lifeguards. Well, yes, I would say that lifeguards would be helpful. We need more police presence on the beach in general. So a couple lifeguards, not a bad idea. I don't know how many lives they'd be able to save, because normally by the time that they pull them to shore, it's already a bit of a chronic situation, unfortunately, Miss Barbara. Not very many of them get revived, I hate to tell you. Yeah. Takes mere seconds. In this case, this last case, it was a 72-year-old woman from the US. Let me be very, very clear. 72. I hope to be kicking it pretty well when I'm 72, but going out there snorkeling, maybe not. I'm going to be taking it easy. And then we had the New Zealand guy. He was 55. He died out snorkeling as well. We had another one. How many water related? We've had a few. And then there was another 72-year-old back in April. in early April or mid-April, really. Pronounced dead on April the 10th. Got in distress near Cemetery Beach. So, you're up in your 70s. Yeah, maybe do something. I mean, go to the beach and just relax. Just splash a little bit of cold water on you, a little bit of warm water, whatever the temperature of the water is. But they might be overdoing it for people in their 70s who probably haven't had proper checkups and stuff in a minute. Mm-hmm. Anyway, our condolences to their families for sure. Very sad situation, no matter how you slice it. Okay. Oh my goodness. Anyway, oh my God. Gino and Jasmine split up on 90 Day Fiancé? That's so not a shocker. It's about time, actually. They should have never gotten married. They should have never. She's a 37-year-old Panamanian woman from Panama City. And he is how old is Gino? He's quite a bit older than her. I think he's like in his 50s or something. But he was previously married to a Brazilian woman for 8 years, but didn't have any children of his own. And he's really gung-ho and having children. Oh, these two. Oh, she is crazy, loves to fight and cuss and carry on. And poor Gino, he's a bit deceptive, to be honest. He plays a lot of mind games and lies a lot. So she's 17 years younger than him. And he thinks he's ready for a kid, but can't even afford to hire a lawyer to handle the paperwork for her children. No, so. Anyway, maybe we'll talk about some of that tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. By the way, Indigo Hotel is opening up today. Oh, I got an appointment. I got to get out of here. I got an 11 o'clock appointment. So Indigo Hotel opened up this morning. We were not able to make it because we had our guests here, obviously, and that comes first. But no, she not getting no green card in that short space of time. Hate to tell you. Retired is knocking at your door. Have a good afternoon. Yeah, so wow, I didn't realize they had split. That's a little bit of reality gossip there, huh? Not surprised. They're both crazy if you ask me. Anyway, folks, tomorrow, Friday. See y'all tomorrow. We got a lot of open mic time, so we can talk about the gang wars and activities and stuff over the weekend. Y'all be good, be safe, and we'll see you in the morning.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.